Here to day number 2 at EPIC36, one of the official stops on the Beacon circuit for Valorant. We had 16 teams to kick things off in the group stage. They have now set themselves and seeded themselves into the bracket phase. We saw our first best of 3 last night. We're now advancing through to bracket and round number 2. Lots to digest Valorant action to see today, Rook. I'm excited, my friend.
I am really excited too. I mean, for the most part, we kind of followed those seeds, but we've certainly had some upsets. I mean, especially that 7th seed in CSGG. I think we said before, right? Yeah. They're definitely a dark horse in this one, and their performance across Beacon as a whole has been impressive. So I'm certainly excited to see more from them, and especially with the power-up that they had with Bensky joining that squad. They are really a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I think when we come into this, we obviously, when you look past the likes of Rick Static, the likes of Temperate, for example, who were the top 2 seeds, we're sort of talking about what teams could kind of maybe potentially cause a shock and an upset here at Epic. And then we spoke about the likes of Gladius, for example. And then one team who was, like you mentioned, in at 7th or 8th seed was CSGG, but they've looked anything but that. They've looked absolutely fantastic so far. I mean, me and Jay had a roller coaster of emotions while casting that Icebox best of 1. I know we had like 20 odd people in the casting room just watching us cast the game because it was that crazy of an affair. And they'll probably be kicking themselves that they didn't win that game. They kind of, I don't want to say they threw the game, but they kind of did it. I think they were up at like 10-5 or something like that at one point, 8-4 at the half, 8-2 in the first half as well. But they'll live and learn by that. But we are not going to be seeing Rix or CSGG up on stream to start things off with. We have got a relatively evenly based matchup in terms of 2 teams that I think have both looked a little bit ropesy and rocky at times, but also both have looked like they can get the job done, and that is going to be Cog taking on Gladius. Yeah,
Cognizant actually coming from a bit of a split in Temperate, where they've had 2 players, Prophet and Chich, kind of come away and join another squad. And actually, I think this squad, while it hasn't necessarily delivered, especially earlier on in yesterday, I think they are a squad to certainly be reckoned with. 4-3 was their score in the group stage, which is not amazing, but it's not bad either. Look, it's not negative, so we'll absolutely take that. And a 2-0 win at the start of the bracket stage shows that they definitely can pump out some numbers, but against Gladius, it's going to be very hard. I mean, they looked so good yesterday.
Yeah, well, I think you made a great point about bringing up numbers. Let's talk about numbers, for example, in terms of what happened in the group stage. If you guys didn't tune in last night for any reason, you missed out on an amazing day of Beacon Valorant action here at EPIC36. We saw Gladius top their group. In fact, they've only lost 1 map all event thus far. They finished off 6-1 in the top spot for, I think that was in group number B. On group number A side of things, that was where Cog was playing, and they finished in 4th, like you mentioned. I think it was, 3-4 they finished, or 4-3, something like that. So, not look the best, but not look the worst at the same time. A few sort of minor mistakes and finer details that they need to iron out, and then from there, they can probably try to kick on in this bracket stage, should they be able to pass Cog. But in terms of yesterday, last night, we do apologise again. There was a slight delay into the start of the best of 3s. There was a few issues with the way the bracket and the seeding was working, but we rectified that as quickly as we could, and we actually ended up kicking things off at about 9:30 last night for the best of 3. So I know these players are had a bit of a long night coming into today, but they're ready to play Valorant anyway. And that was Gladius who actually picked up a 2-0 win over CSGG Academy, 13-4 on Ascent, 13-3 on Split. Not really too much of a shock there, if you ask me, Rook.
Yeah, I think CSGG Academy, while they've looked good, actually, better than I thought they were going to be looking, they are still an Academy team, and up against a kind of fully fledged team in Gladius, it's unlikely they're going to have too much success. And I mean, Gladius have just also looked really on point. I mean, I think you were highlighting Mercedes Peak and just how impressive they were looking.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we've got to talk about when speaking with Mercedes Peak is the fact that he's playing exclusively Fade by the looks of it in terms of their team comps. They've not really elected to put a hard flash into their team comp. We've got obviously the likes of Mike on Gladius, who will of course run the likes of a Raze, might jump on a different duel list every now and then, but 9 out of 10 times he will be on that Raze because he's a person that he likes to grab control of the map. We saw the first game of the day yesterday, right, where I think Mike went like 9-18 or something like that. But 7 of those kills were big first bloods, and the times where he was dying, it was just him scouting out information. The amount of times I saw him push out A long and A main on Ascent to just kind of get the info that they were over towards mid, and they would pinch in towards mid or to beat tunnels would be absolutely, I lost count of it, honestly. But in terms of Cog, though, on the other hand, they played against Legates yesterday, and that was a 2-0 win for them. Legates are a team that they don't look as good as I thought they would have coming into this, to be totally honest with you. I mean, look, when they come into this, we saw them play, I can't remember who it was yesterday, but they lost like 13-6 or 13-7 or something like that, and it looked like very one-sided. They're a team that runs out of ideas quite quickly, so it doesn't surprise me that we saw Cog end up getting through that series at 2-0. It was 13-11 on Breeze, 13-6 on Haven, and we're actually surprising. We're seeing quite a lot of Breeze being played this weekend so far.
Yeah, people have been liking it, I think, as well, especially if you've got a lot of these duelists. And we were talking earlier about Mike and what he's really able to do on that raise. I think a lot of people have been really liking the Neon because she really allows you to take that space and play a really role-playing style of duelists to kind of say, you do your job properly by gaining space. And I think that's actually going to be a really interesting one in this matchup. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Breeze here because, I mean, I don't know if Prophet's exactly playing the raise, but he has in the past played the raise, played the Jet, and been a great force for good on the team in terms of gaining that space. And kind of giving, for example, Chinch a little bit more space to play with. And I think definitely comparing that on Mike on the other side as well is certainly going to make things very interesting. And I hope we get some Breeze. I've been really enjoying it recently.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite maps to play in the game, not only to cast, but actually to play myself as well whenever I play, like, or I'm ranked or scrims or 10-mans or whatever. Yeah, speaking about Prophet, he's sort of like you mentioned, himself and Chinch, right, were sort of the two players you want to highlight coming out of this Cog team. I can't remember what agents we saw. I think we saw him flex quite a bit yesterday.
He is a very flexible player.
Be honest, I think I want to say, I might be completely wrong here, but I think I saw him on Sova at one point as well. So I mean, it's one of those situations where when you've got a player that is so versatile and so easily interchangeable, it opens up so much potential for that squad, due to the fact that, if you've got a player that might be saying, listen, I'm fragging really heavy right now and I'm feeling my aim, put me on a bit more of a fast-paced, aggressive type of agent, and then someone's like, okay, yeah, cool, that works out because I'm not playing my best. I want to be a bit more of a slow-paced, passive role. And that can work into a team's ability very, very well. Yeah,
I think actually we're seeing a lot of duelists players, at least in the UK and kind of the wider Beacon region, deciding that they're going to kind of learn more roles, learn more valid. I mean, another player, for example, who I think has been fantastic about is Mzuu. Obviously not in this matchup here, playing for the Goose House, but he is one hell of a player when it comes to picking up those. I mean, we talked about Bensky and how flexible he is as well. Moving on over to that Viper has been really exciting for us to watch him play. And I think it's going to be more of a trend, honestly, to see these players being more flexible because you can't just play one thing.
No, yeah, I mean, all the insta-locking jet main one tricks, say that.
This is a call-out post.
That's gone out of fashion a little bit. But I do want to talk about Beacon in general. I'm actually going to just bring up the actual Beacon results on my second monitor and just talk a little bit about that. So far, in terms of the way the Beacon circuit works, of course, we know that there's going to be different divisions having a grand final to try and earn their share of a split of $10,000 US dollars, if I'm correct, or 10,000 euros, I think it is, because we're in Europe over here, right? We're not across the other side of the pond. At the moment, we've got AW3, sitting in top spot with 400 points. Only Finns are behind them with 350. Unsigned have 350 as well. And then sort of the next up-and-coming teams from there are going to be Kamak, Rich GG, Static, Nothing, and CSGG. They're all sitting around the 100, 150 point region. So you're looking at the likes of Rick Static, for example, even maybe CSGG. If they win this event and pick up 200 Beacon points, they're going to catapult themselves into second spot. For Ricks, they could potentially jump all the way back up into joint second, joint third. So it's a big event for these guys to make sure they perform on. It
really is. I think if we're looking at kind of the story of Beacon right now, especially here at this event, CSGG and how they perform against Ricks GG Static is going to be really the big talking point, because I think that CSGG, with this power up again from Bensky, they do have the possibility to take him down. And with such a close match before, I really hope that we get to see them match up again. Right now, I believe in what we're kind of setting up for is Temperate is playing CSGG, and the winner of that will play the winner of Ricks GG, and I can't remember exactly who they're playing, but it's likely to be Ricks GG. They are seed 1, so we'll get to probably see one of those teams play, and I think it'll be interesting to see if Temperate actually managed to take CSGG down with the momentum they've had.
Yeah, so Ricks are actually paying Pink Fluffy Unicorns, which is sort of it's King Hass and Lear's mix, which, if you guys have been following UK Valorant or mid-tier European Valorant, you'll know who those two players are. Lear had a very successful season, I would say, over the first VRDR split. He played in Spain. This time he played in France as well. I know he's posting up LFT after, I think it was, he played for B Genius, who have posted that they've just pulled the plug on Valorant at the moment. So that's not going to be the hardest, that's not going to be the easiest of games for Ricks to try and sell through, I mean, Haas, honestly, I was speaking to him last night, and I said to him, before I even said hi to him, it was the first time I spoke to him about it, I said, since when are you a chamber main? And he was like, dude, honestly, My girlfriend has done nothing but flame me for not pracking on Val, and she was like, she likes Chamber, so she's been making me play Chamber to try new roles, and apparently I'm just a beast on Chamber, so I was like, alright, cool, fair enough, like, the fairy tale story, right? I mean, but he's performed so well on Chamber. I've been really impressed with Haas. I think he's sort of got his mojo back a little bit. There was a bit of a streak for him where he wasn't really performing well. I think his confidence was a little bit knocked after that sort of vexed roster split, and the team got dropped. So, you know, coming into this one, I don't think Rich can really look past them. I mean, you've got some very, very, very good players on that Pink Fluffy Unicorns lineup. I mean, you've got Chan Former as well, who's a very, very good individual player. And the fact that these guys are having fun with it as well. Like, I mean, I was speaking to, like I said, I was speaking to Hassan Lear last night after the event, and they were like, I said to him, I said, Lear, why are you on KO for? And he was like, I'm just flexing. Like, I'm just trying to like learn new roles to help myself get onto a team, because when I saw Chan Fulmer on the Jet and not Lear on the Jet or a high-paced duelist, I was like, okay, something's going on here. And they were like, sorry, John, we've just thrown, like, we literally said, well, in our team comp, we're just going to throw John off as much as possible because John knows so much about us as players. So I was like, okay, cool, great, thanks. But let's talk a little bit more about the game that we've got going on now, though. It is Gladius versus Cog. A bit of a, you could say, a middle-of-the-pack affair, really, here. It's not CSGG versus Cog, it's Gladius versus Cog. We'll get that corrected as quickly as possible for you. What we expected to see in terms of map pool, maybe. We're waiting for the vetoes to come through. Of course, it's still early on. What do we expect to see? I mean, just looking off my paper, they've played very, very different maps so far.
I think that I was talking about Breeze earlier, and I think Gladius could really play Breeze. I don't know if they consider it to be in their wheelhouse, but we certainly get to see in that one. I think the big kind of important one that you've always got to know is we're likely to play Ascent regardless of what happens here. Yep. There's really no question about it. There's always an Ascent or an Icebox in the back pocket. But I think the big one, which, while we haven't seen it from Gladius within the bracket stage, definitely within the group stage, they were playing that Haven. And I think it's a really good map for them. I think Cognizant also want to be playing that map. So I would not be surprised to see them picking that one up. Yeah,
Haven's a great map to have in your map pool. It really, really is, because, you know, if you're a team that can prac Haven, Breeze, and Fracture, I would say, and you're comfortable playing at least one of those maps, on average, at least one of those maps are going to be played in a series 9 times out of 10. It's going to be very rare that you're instantly going to have your team remove one of those maps and then have the other team remove 2 of those maps. It's very rare that's going to happen. So yeah, the likes of an Ascent, I would say Ascent, Haven, and maybe even a Bind might be thrown into the mix as well, potentially. We've not seen too much Bind at all this weekend, surprisingly. We've actually seen Split, which has been removed from the map pool in Pro Play at the moment, and the rotation. So the fact that we're seeing the likes of Split, which every competitive Valorant player seems to hate, and not a Bind, is a little bit of a confusing one.
These UK players, they're weird. They like the Split. To be fair, I like watching it. It's definitely a very interesting one, and I mean, it can be very broken at times and make things very awkward. But I think at the same time, I've been hearing a lot of people going, Bind is such an awkward one to play at times, and they don't really want to pick towards it. So that's why I was saying to get banned away. It's not everyone's least favourite, for sure. I don't think anyone explicitly thinks Bind is the worst, but they certainly don't want to be playing it too. And it is a map where you can get loads of really good strats, right, if you're doing the prac on it. And I don't think teams are really doing the prac on it, so they're worried, hey, my opponents might have something good here.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I always, you know, sort of say the line, and I feel like a broken record when I say it, but you can sometimes win or lose a series before the map's even been played, just purely based off the fact that your map veto cannot work in your favour. But, I mean, on the side of Gladius, we spoke about Mike, we spoke about Mercedes Peak. Is there anyone else in particular on that side that has impressed you?
I think Samo has been impressive as well in kind of isolated moments. It's generally been playing well for the team as a whole. I think Gladius have actually been pretty consistent on every player, while Mercedes Peak and Mike have been the players to stand out. I think Samo has definitely been delivering when it's been necessary to do so. So I definitely keep an eye on them. But also like Halsey as well on that Sova and things like that has definitely been interesting. He's been flexing over to a lot of different roles as well. So it'll be interesting to see what he plays on the maps we get, but obviously that depends on what maps we get. I think that's the most important thing here.
Yeah, and again, we are waiting for that VO to be sent through and come in. I think, listen, it is LAN, it's esports at the end of the day. There is a few delays with tech issues and stuff. I think we had like 8 tech issues within the first like 6 rounds yesterday.
I was watching
best of one.
I was watching one of the Jokers games. I think Jokers versus Cognizant actually, and I was sat down there because we had to stand in the middle because obviously if you look to your right and the enemy teams on the right, you can look at their screen. So me and one of the admins, Chimpy, was standing in front, and I was literally sat there, and I was like, "This is the stream game, and everything is going wrong here." They were trying to log in, it was breaking down, trying to load in.
I think that was the game that me and Jay casted. We was like literally like, okay, we're going into the game. No, we're not. But listen, it happens at the end of the day, so we do apologise about that. In terms of Beacon in general, though, Rook, I think it's been a bit of a success so far. I mean, obviously, you know, I know a little bit of the feedback that some of the teams had were that half of the events are done online, half of the events are going to be like 2 of the events were played at LAN. You had DreamHack, that was the LAN, and then you had obviously here at EPIC, which was a LAN. So some of the more European teams weren't able to travel across the pond and you know get themselves here, of course, for example. Fortunately for them, though, the likes of OnlyFins, the likes of AW3, they're already sitting very, very comfortably top of the Beacon event, and we've got the Guild event just up on the horizon next week as well. So that's being played online, so they'll be able to be involved in that. You a fan of Beacon though? You been enjoying it?
I think I said this before, right? I love the fact that it gives these events, these isolated events, first of all, something to link them together and make it feel like a wider community. I think that's always such a nice way to do it. And also to give people a reason to prac, a reason to go hard. Because obviously, we've got VRLs, we've got basically everything else kind of sitting around. We've obviously got Polaris and VCT. But if you're not in that, what tournaments can you go play? What matters? What leads into something else? And Beacon really gives people a beacon or a focus for their kind of career and also for what they want to be doing in the meantime while they're prepping for that, while they're trying to qualify. And I think it's really, really exciting as well to kind of have those playoffs to set up for. That's really cool. Yeah, and of course we've got to say that, you know, us here at EPIC, we're super thankful that the Beacon circuit has travelled here, but we're also thankful for some of our amazing partners, sponsors, and people that have helped power the event. Of course, you can see them under our beautiful faces right here: Intel, Teams GG, Overclockers, MSI, and Logitech. So huge thank you for those guys being a part of the show. Wouldn't be possible without you. If you're here in the LAN hall, go check out all of these people. Go check out Overclockers. They got a load of new stuff here this weekend. MSI, they're doing like a little one-on-one challenge in Valorant where if you beat someone in a 1v1, you can win some prizes, and I'm sure there's a few Logitech and Intel people, boys and girls, floating about somewhere as well. But we are, again, just waiting on this lobby to get lock and loaded relatively quickly for you. In terms of prize pool, though, let's talk a little bit about the prize pool. £2,000 to be broke down between the top 8. I know on the website it said between 1.5k to 3k, depending on sign-ups. If we had 32 teams, it would have been 3,000. However, we've only got half of that, so we are going to put 2,000 on the line. It is going to be £900 for first spot, $450 for second, $225 for third, $125 for fourth, and if you finish in the top 8, you get yourself a nice cool $75, which was what, like £13 split between your team. It's a nice little Vandal skin there, maybe. Yeah, no, it's not bad. I mean, especially with the new skins that came out, they look so good. I love as well the different reload animation when you drop the rocket. It just looks cool. We've been seeing a lot of players with it as well, and I've been like, damn, I might pick that up and when I get home.
Dude, like, I mean, I was actually talking to a few of some of the other talent from different games there, and they were like, we're so jealous of how cool the Valorant skins look, and I was like, yeah, but you guys have got like a trade market for them. I was like,
it's cool, to be fair.
I told him how much money I spent on skins, and he was like, oh wow, okay, you can't even trade any of those. I was like, nah, yeah, I'm a fan. Listen, I got like 36 knives, okay, like, I'm like, I'm a grinder, dude, like. I only think like 8 of them are battle pass knives as well. It was like my friends are just rapidly taking my bank card away from me anytime a new bundle drops. But we are having the teams finally load into the game. That veto process will start to come through soon. I mean, Rook, give me your predictions on this one between Gladius and Cog. What type of series are we in for? Are we in for a close one-sided affair?
I don't want to do my boy dirty in prof, but I do actually think Gladius are going to take this too. I think Gladius looks so good right now. They're on a bit of a hot streak. We highlighted the players who have really been popping off in Mike, in Mercedes Peak, and the rest of the squad is certainly there, ready to back up. Even if they don't deliver on the day, I have faith that the rest of this Gladius squad will deliver, despite the fact that I've been so impressed with, in particular, Chinch and his play.
Yeah, I think, you know, map number 1 is going to be a big talking point, I think. Once we get that, I think depending on how the likes of Cognizant can kick things off and start things up, then that's when we'll start to see how this is going to start to play out. But we are finally starting to see some of the vetoes come through. The side of Gladius, they're going to go ahead and remove Fracture. We then see Bind actually removed by Cog. So 2 picks there. Fracture doesn't really surprise me. Not a lot of teams like to play Fracture for some reason these days. I mean, listen, honestly, play Fracture. It's one of the best maps in the game. It really is. For some reason, people seem to hate it. Listen, remember how many people hated Icebox when it first came out? Now it's a must-play map in a series. So we are going to see the first pick come through for one of the teams soon. What do you think it's going to be?
As I said before, Haven. I think it'll be Haven. I think that's an interesting
Haven
one.
map 1. That is an interesting.
I think it's because both teams think it favors them.
Okay.
And it's both like it's a little off kilt. It's not like the classic Ascent Icebox, but it's also like not too strange.
Yeah, okay.
They're not messing around too much.
I get that. I mean, I think if I'm a team and I know I'm comfortable in Haven, I'd probably definitely try and put that in map number 2, maybe as like a safety net for you if you lose map number 1. But listen, if we're going to see a Haven map number 1, I'm definitely all for it. But we are going to see the Ascent pick come through from Gladius, so we're going to be heading back to what you could say has been their stomping ground really thus far in the best of 1s and best of 3s. They've looked absolutely solid. 13-4 last night, of course, against CSGG. We had them play that super tight game on stream. I can't remember who it was against. Tabula Rasa, of course, first game of the day yesterday where Pika hit. Go back and watch it. Pika hit one of the most ridiculous one-taps I've ever seen in my life. The side of Cog, though, have decided they're going to start on the attacking side first. We'll wait to see what map comes through from the pick of Cog. Could we then see the Haven come in map number 2, like I said now, maybe?
I mean, if I say it, eventually it will happen, right?
Yeah. You're not wrong.
It is.
You're not wrong if you keep saying that you're right? That's what we are going to say. Like I said, Haven should be a map number 2 pick, I would think, for one of these teams. It'll be a little bit more comfortable, and that is exactly what we are going to get. So the side of Gladius, if you just joined us, have picked Ascent. We're heading there to start off with. Afterwards, Cognizant are going to be sending us over to Haven, the 3 bomb-sighted map. And I mean, I do love me a bit of Haven. I really, really do. I think, we saw, I can't remember who it was yesterday on stream, me and Jay casted a game, and one team on defense were playing so aggressively that they would just send 2 people, one person down towards A long, one person to the bottom of C long, and every time this team was just trapped in the middle of the map. And even when they tried to go towards Garage or B, for example, the gravity wells and the trademarks were set up there every single time. But we are waiting to see how the rest of the veto goes out. It is going to be on Cog, right, to pick the final map. I think Gladius now get a ban, and then we'll see which one one is removed. So we'll wait and see what is happening there. CT side for the side of Gladius on map number 2, Haven. I like that from them. I like that. They're a team that like to implement their defensive style of play, and they like to be quite aggressive on their defensive style of play as well on a map like Haven. Yep. So I'm happy with the CT side of pick for the defensive team on Haven there.
Yeah, I'm interested to also see what exactly they pick up. I think the Astra that you mentioned is fantastic over on Haven, and if they're willing to play it, that's great. The question in mind is, do they actually play that? Do they actually have an Astra play? Because you need an Astra player if you're going to play Astra.
Yeah, it's not only that. I think Haven is probably the only map that Astra is still somewhat playable on. The maps like Ascent, people seem to be rocking Omen a lot on that nowadays. Same as Icebox, really. You'll probably get maybe like a Viper on an Icebox, as well as maybe a double controller setup. Every other map, I mean, Breeze, for example, even a big map like that, Astra is not favoured on that. That's going to be a Viper map every single time as well. So Haven is a map that I think Astra is probably very well suited to, because it allows you. Usually, what I would like to see if I was to see a team play Astra on this is have them set up either on A or C site, and then have your smoke set up for C or A long, and then put your other star, which would be your gravity well, when you pop it in towards either short or towards Garage. It is such an OP setup for Astra because it delays you so long in a game. However, on the flip side, if you're a team that puts early aggression to bait that util and draw that util out from Astra, that CT side, especially if you're playing a defensive style of Astra, can be really, really screwed going into the later stages of the round, because we've now got like that 45-second on the gravity well to replenish. If you don't leave it too late and sort of burn Astra's util off quite quickly, it's going to be a tough time for that side that is playing Astra.
Yeah, they really did change up Astra. When she was really strong, she was constantly present all across the map, able to provide so much different kinds of utility. Now she has those windows of weakness, and I mean, a good team will punish them. But whereas you've got things like the Omen, which is kind of the go-to choice if you're not playing a map where Viper is necessary, who I mean, he has those 2 smokes and then recharges them as well, but like he also still has access to the paranoia, which is still, even at 450, such a fantastic tool for setting up, especially when you're, for example, running something like the Fade. It does mean you have access to extra ways to entry, and Fade, while she gets a lot of info, while she can tag people up, they're still able to shoot you back most of the time. That's the important thing.
Yeah, so we are going to see Split be taken out by the side of Gladius. We're going to see... of Cog, sorry, we're going to see Gladius remove Breeze. And if I'm correct, that leaves us on Icebox for the deciding third and final map. Sort of the way that the veto works out, like we said, really. I mean, we had the maps in a slightly different order. So, not going to complain about that. Here we go. That is the final the final veto on your screen. The picks on Ascent for the side of Gladius. We had them Cog picking up Haven, and we are left with Icebox as our third and final map. Do you reckon we're going to need it? I reckon we might.
As I said, I think it's going to be a 2-0. I believe in my boy Prophet and my boy Chinch, but at the end of the day, I think Gladius is just looking way too strong. Yeah, Gladius have looked absolutely stellar thus far, so far in this event. Like I said, top of their group, man. They've only lost 1 map the whole series, and I think that was against the team that finished second in their group as well. I want to say maybe like Temper or someone like that. But we are getting the players lock and loaded into the lobby. We'll be heading into Agent Select very, very soon for you all. Quick sort of final thoughts before we head into Agent Select. You said it's going to be 2-0. Any players, though, for the side of for the side of Cog, though, that need to pop off and stand up for that squad for them to not have that 2-0 happen that you think is going to go through?
I think it really depends on what agents they pick up more than anything. Exactly where they're going to put... presumably they're going to pick up Chamber. That's what I really need to see. And I need to see the Chamber player really, really deliver. And that alongside that, exactly how we're going to have some of the other kind of more aggressive players on that squad actually find the space. Because I think that's going to be the hardest thing. Up against this Fade, up against a KO as well, who can really help track you. It's going to be a real problem trying to get any sort of offense going.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I'm really excited to see what Agent Select happens. We can almost guarantee that Mercedes Peak is going to be picking up that Fade. Just judging off what you saw of Gladius yesterday, Mike will probably be on the raise. I think we are going to see a KO, which is played by... I think it might be Cam who plays the...
Yeah, I think you're right.
The KO, and then I think Samo plays on the Sova or something like that, and then we'll have Halsey on Omen, if I'm correct.
It's interesting to me as well that Gladius themselves don't really run the Chamber so much when I feel like it's such a strong pick right now. I think he's maybe not de facto the best character in the game, but definitely one of the top.
Oh no, I would say he's the best agent in the game, 100%.
I wasn't going to go that hard on it, but I think he is very strong.
Yeah, I think I would say he probably is alongside... I don't know, maybe the likes of a Viper, for example, I think on certain
but
maps.
that's map specific.
That's very map specific. I said this to Jay yesterday that we've been waiting for an agent-like Chamber for so long to sort of change the meta. It was very stale. We knew, okay, it was going to be a double duelist setup. You would have maybe a Sage and a Killjoy followed by a Smoke, or would have, if it's not going to be a double Sentinel, double duelist setup, you'll have an Initiator instead as well as a Controller. So we kind of knew what it was going to get for the most of the time. But now this Chamber has been brought in. We've seen, the likes of Sagino from Rix, for example, super, and Cray from CSGG, super really aggressive chambers that they don't even really have duelists in their team comps the majority of the time because they just like other people, like Bensky, for example, just set up behind the Viper. They might throw the occasional raise on Hypers into a map like Icebox to break lines and get control of the map. So I think Chamber has been needed for a while. The trademarks are so annoyingly frustrating to play against when you get hit by one. The Tour de Force as well. The fact you get not a free weapon, but you get the Headhunter as well, which is crazily stupid for 100 creds per bullet. And I think for a team like Gladius, if they can try and implement Chamber into their team comp alongside that Fade, it will cause a lot of teams a lot of problems.
Yeah, I was actually going to highlight that Fade as well, and I think this is an agent who is going to be that top tier. I think she's absolutely fantastic, provides so much. I've seen some of the crazy lineups against some of the admins where we were just chatting, and he was like, oh, dude, you have to see these Fade lineups I've got. And the amount that you can get, getting the Horn, throwing out the Prowler as well, and managing to get information off the back of that, and you tag people up as well for damage, and just makes that entry's job that little bit easier, whereas sometimes you might lack that damage a tiny bit, and then they get away, they manage to scamper and still find an angle to hold.
I think Fade does such a good job in kind of just stopping people from getting away with those very edge case scenarios, and we are seeing these guys really try and push everything to the absolute limit, and that's why I think Fade is going to be able to push it over the edge.
Yeah, and you know, it's going to be interesting to see Fade in like high level pro play as that agent starts to develop and come more the norm in agent comps and team comps. It's one of those situations where I feel like it's a champ, though, a little bit like Chamber, that you have to be quite intelligent and smart with the way that you play her. You can't, you know, it's not like a Reina or a Jet, for example, that you can just run in, flash or dash onto the side, get a kill, and then get straight back out as quickly as possible. It's an agent that if you can set up behind your util very, very well, you can either play as a high-impact, fast-paced entry frag in Fade, or you can play as sort of, you know, a more relaxed, calm style of play where you're actually setting up the entry fraggers for their kills and getting trades off in the end as well and still doing damage that way.
Yeah, I think she's definitely really interesting in that way because she's so flexible, and that's also what makes her so powerful. You're never really going to have an agent unless they're really, really pushed that is powerful and not flexible, at least in my opinion. I think that's why we kind of looked at Viper on some of the maps, especially when she was especially strong. That she was able to kind of do double duty. She was able to obviously be a controller, but also be a sentinel with the Viper's Bites, with the setups, the ways to deny plants in their usual spots, and that's what makes her so fantastic.
I think somewhat post-plant meta has started to be steering away from. I've noticed as of late. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you've got a Viper that has got very good lineups, you know, or any average Jonas fans out there that have got like 500 shock darts in the locker or something like that, it's still very, very, very doable and viable. However, I've seen what I've noticed so far from this event, a lot of teams actually playing closer on the site due to the fact that, you know, some of these, the likes of Fade, for example, that haunt ability, it can reveal so much location upon, you know, a team trying to retake, and you can play a little bit more aggressive and keep them pushed back off site. And you know, even the chamber, you can be really aggressive on a hold, and if someone swings you, you can just TP rendezvous your way out of trouble and live to see another day. So we have, though, finally got all of the players lock and loaded into the lobby. This has been a fantastic time of Phil from me and I'm proud of ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm proud. We did a great job. But let's get into this. Things that ours are in the chat. Let's get it. We're headed into map number 1 here, day number 2 at EPIC36 for the official Beacon Circuit event here for Europe, and we are going to be sending it all the way over to the one and only, the heaven in the sky, the city in the sky of Ascent.
Oh man, I'm so excited to see Ascent here. I mean, normally, you know, we get so much of it, but with these two teams playing it, both of them very comfortable here, I think it's really going to be an interesting one. And certainly something interesting has already come on the stream with the Neon from Pate.
Yeah, Neon from Pate, as well as the double hard flash as well from Chinch and the breach of Walty as well. So this is initially what I'm going to gauge out. This is a very aggressive, fast-paced, take control of the map sort of team comp. This is the team comp that we really expected from the side of the defender. It was Samuel, actually. No, it was on the chamber. Of course, Samuel had a fantastic role on the chamber with the headhunter, as well as when you get the operator or the tour de force in his hand, this man does not miss shots. Look out, in particular, when they're on that B site, they sometimes like to send Mercedes and Mike over towards that B site. Mike will just sit and play at a really slow pace. Mercedes loves to get aggressive out through towards garage and in towards courtyard, and then Samuel will be holding the crossfire with the operator. We saw it time and time again. I think like 5 or 6 times yesterday in that series that we and Jay casted, and every single time it would result in the side of Gladius picking up a round.
Yeah, I think as well that kind of Samo's getting away with playing a more defensive style, which is very different from what Gladius had done before, because Mike and Mercedes are giving them so much space to work with. So I think it's a fantastic chance for them. But obviously Prophet over on the other side on that chamber, and definitely a player to highlight. If he can lock down these angles, it's going to be a real problem. Even when you're on the defense, getting some of those rotates in can be hard when you've got a chamber watching.
Let's wait and see what happens, though, as the time does tick down. Some of these players will be dropping into the losers bracket. The others will ascend their way into what could be the potential final stages of the competitions. Let's get into it. Myself, John P., joined by the one and only Rook. Of course, if you've just joined us, we're here for Epic Land 36. I was so excited, but someone's PC has crashed.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at that. I was like, oh, damn, man. He's killing it on the intro here.
The intro was so good, man. I was like, that was showreel footage. I was like, boom, send that off to VCT or someone like that. There you go, get me involved. But no, PC crashed. Cheers, Prof. Appreciate it, mate. But even as well, though, we've got a little bit longer to talk about Ascent as a map. What type of style of play do you want to see here from either of the sides, especially, of course, the side of Gladius, who is starting on the defensive half?
I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Gladius play around the mid. They themselves have been very fire and forget. They put down those trademarks to keep track of people if they start to move on forward. But other than that, don't really contest it so much. And maybe they have a player back in that CT spawn. But at the same time, one thing we've seen them really do is not contest the mid in the kind of standard way by pushing through mid or like holding down a long angle with an operator or anything. What they've been doing is they've been communicating well from the players on the A side and the B side and making pushes in together to really squash teams that focus on that mid control. However, I don't think this is going to be that good versus the current squad they're playing against, right? Because when we see Chinch and Prophet and the rest of the squad play this map, they don't focus on the mid so much. They like to play towards the site, go for their setups where they can, and that's why you're seeing the double flashes, right? They want to entry. That's all they're looking to do. And once they get a couple of kills, then they have a post-plant situation where they can have a really great amount of success because they can get aggressive if they need to. They still have a lot of that utility in the bank, and Pate can even go walkabout if he needs to.
Yeah, I mean, you could say it's a double flash setup. It's actually pretty much a triple flash setup because they've got the Paranoia on the Omen as well. Not only that, you've got the stuns in the hands of both the Breach and the Neon as well. So it's a really interesting team comp that we're seeing out of the side of Cog here. I'm excited for it. It's a bit of an anomaly, but watch here. Samo, he will almost instantly preempt this with a Headhunter. He loves to get aggressive out on the pistol rounds with the Headhunter on A main. I think we saw him pick up a 3K first game of the day last time when we saw him play this. It was Gladius versus Tabula Rasa, right? That was the first series of the day we saw yesterday. So wouldn't surprise me if he opts for the same style of play thus far. But I think you made a great point. The way that Gladius like to play this map is really put a bit of a chokehold. They're like a boa constrictor, you can say. They squeeze the life out of teams on the map towards the middle of the map. And the side of not Gladius. Who? Cognizant, sorry.
Yeah.
I was about to call him Cognograph for a second, and that would have been horrifically bad.
That's a watch, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. That's my timepieces knowledge coming into play. But we, for the side of Cog, they are, like you mentioned, a very aggressively paced team. That's why we are seeing the likes of the Breach Flash that will be popped through the wall, the Pop Flash around the corner from the likes of the KO as well. And that Neon will just explode onto the site as quickly as possible behind those smokes on the hands of Prophet. But they actually, looking at here, they've actually set themselves up for a little bit of a fake over towards A to kick things off here. It looks like 4 players heading over towards the A site, trying to make as much noise as possible, and it's just the Omen with the bomb in hand. This is either going to go amazingly well, or it's going to go awfully wrong, because we did mention that, like, especially Mercedes, he likes to get aggressive out of Garage there for a second, but no, they are heading back over to B now anyway.
I mean, they've literally gone A, B, B, A. They've been walking around. So until we actually start, I don't know what they're actually going to go for. It'll be interesting to see. But with 3 players lined up on that B site, it's certainly going to be interesting. Prophet's ping is not looking the best here, but hopefully that rectifies itself. His PC is having some issues. That's why we are paused. Hopefully it's not that he's just downloading something. If it is, Prophet, mate. You got to keep track of that stuff.
I can't wait for Prophet to just ping diff someone that land on 100 ping and just get absolutely rinsed IRL. But we'll have to see if those issues will be rectified relatively soon. For the side of Gladius, though, would you say there's a little bit of pressure on their hands here? They've only they've lost one map the whole series. They're the team that we've sort of been bigging up that could make some noise outside of sort of the top 3 coming into this in terms of standings and seeding. Would they be feeling the pressure a little bit here, or are they experienced enough to know that we just need to relax a little bit?
I think they will have a little bit of pressure on them, for sure, because they've been performing well and they want to continue performing well. But at the same time, we're looking over at the other side, and Cognizant are not doing quite as well as they should have done, at least in my opinion. So they should have at least that advantage there, as so much utility comes out to kick things off.
Yeah, a lot of aggression, like we mentioned, from the side of Cog. Pate almost instantaneously with that Neon straight in towards the back enemy line of sight. Already set up on the set of stairs out towards Market. Here comes the Haunt from the Fado. Location will be revealed. A little bit of a argy-bargy there in the smoke, you could say, as Pate does drop down to 70-odd HP. Prophet versus Samo, the chamber diff on the other side of the map, because that's where the spike's headed.
Man, that was so exciting to see. They take down Samo at long range with the classic there. Unfortunate, buddy, and they're already getting that spike down on 8. That was a complete distraction, and look where that Neon is now. She is right in the right place.
Yeah, I think Mercedes Peak knows that they're here, though. But that frenzy does so much damage at close range. See you later, Cam. See you later, Mercedes. Housey falls as well. It's all up to Mike, the lone warrior, on the raise for the side of Gladius. And this has been an absolute perfect start for the side of Cognizant. A flawless start, you could say, at that, Rook, as Chinch cleans up shop. And that is exactly what you want if you're a fan of Cog.
Hook, line, and sinker. Cognizant push a player over onto that B site, and the Neon makes a bunch of sound. You heard her activate the run, try and make as much as you can. Shoot out the haunt, that was the most important thing, so you didn't spot anybody else, didn't get any of that extra information, and there were 3 players, even one rotating off. No one was really watching A, apart from Samo, and as soon as they push onto the site, they headshot him, he's dead, that plant is down, and A site is completely in their control. They still have a player rotating around off site, looking for a great lurk, and oh boy, does that lurk pay off. That was perfect for Cognizant.
Fantastic start here from the attacking side, and Pate already causing so much trouble towards the middle of the map, but a little bit of a costly error there. Tries to pop the E and pull out the sprint, but that's going to be a gun surely recycled into Samo's hands. Why has he not picked up the Spectre? The only thing I think of is unless he thought the sort of double hit in it, but it doesn't matter anyway because the side of Cognizant have got themselves onto that site, and the plant does go down. That Spectre now in the hands of Mike. Profit finally finds Mercedes Peak, so 4 players apiece here for both sides in round number 2. Profit though down to 20 HP. Pop Flash comes through. There's the headshot from Profit. Can't find any more, but Walty and Cam are there to trade it back out apiece. 2 versus 2 here was the side of Gladius. They're trying to hold on and trying to stop the side of Cognizant picking up the second, but it doesn't matter because Chinch and Joe are there to save the day, and second goes on the board for the attacking side.
It was messy after that first frag doesn't quite go their way in mid, and actually that was Pate kind of maybe getting a little bit too fancy with it, trying to do some run cancel, trying to like maybe get the dodge on, but it didn't quite work out the way they wanted to. But Cognizant, they still make it happen, they still had that weapon advantage, but they did lose a lot here. So this bonus round looking a lot weaker than it otherwise would. Finally those rifles coming up for Gladius, and this is where they really can turn up the heat. This squad, when they have access to these good weapons, I mean, I've seen Mercedes Peak hit some darn stinkers.
Yeah, it's a bit of an expensive round as well from Cognizant on the Spectres as well against the anti-eco. Not too much to work with on the bonus, but Pate going to try and get that work done. Put out as much util as possible, but he has been spotted though. The presence detected from that fade. There goes the Prowler to get a little bit more information, but whilst he's going to find the first, it's Mike who falls. Mercedes Peak got to try and hold the fortress down as long as possible, but it's going to be Halsey there to find the headshot through the smoke. So momentarily, we are in a 4 versus 4. There's one player though. It is going to be Profit lurking his way, edging his way around through towards Pizza with that headhunter. First point of contact is going to be Cam. This is a huge, vital 1v1 here. Towards me to the map. The timing, though, from Cam. And oh, no! Profit does find the headshot eventually. Huge kill. That's going to be a Vandal into his hands, but it doesn't matter, though, because he instantly traded back out from Mercedes Peak. Halsey finds Chinch as well. And all of a sudden, in what looked like a very good round from Cognizant, has left himself in a 2 versus 2. Making a 2 versus 1, as Samo's going to clean up shop. Halsey with the triple. First round on the board for the side of Gladius.
Certainly can't be hard done by if you're Cognizant. You did not have a goodbye there. You had 3 Spectres, that was it. And they still managed to make it work. Fantastically done by them. And they get the spike down, they get a little bit of extra econ, and they take quite a few players off of Gladius as well, so that econ is not looking good on their side either. Look, they're not going to have rifles on half these players.
That is a not a bad round to lose, to be totally honest with you, from Cognizant. Usually, if the rule sort of thumb in any bonus round is if you can win the bonus round, that's great. But if not, get the spike down for that extra cash. And not only that, try and take a few Vandals with you to make your job into the 4th a lot less easier, and that's exactly what they've done. The buy does come through, though. However, on the side of Gladius, they can scrape things together, but it is going to be costly because Mike has to have a judge and only half armor on Mercedes Peak as well, but Profit now got that operator in hand.
And very close to the ultimate as well, so even if he dies, he's going to have that in the next one if they want to use it. But again, looking for this mid control in a way that I didn't necessarily expect from this team. They are going super aggressive here, really trying to shut down any sort of control over the majority of this map.
And I love the aggression as well from Pate towards mid. Flash comes through. It is going to be a bit of splash damage done with that fragment nade, though, onto the Neon from the KO. Walty trying to edge his way up, though, through short towards Garden. That spike still lying in wait in the back of spawn, and I like what Cognizant are doing because they're putting so much pressure on the middle of the map. It's forcing the rotations off from the side of Gladius, but they're not advancing the spike with it, so they're still dictating where they want to go every round once they set up and see how many players towards a certain location.
Going slow right now. Chinch still has access to that knife again, but pushes out. The worst time, gets caught there by the paranoia. And now Cognizant don't necessarily have a way to push on through in the same way. They still have lots of flashes, but who's going to make the play? It looks like it might be Walty, but they take away Halsey early on here, and the spray whiffs from Samo here, so that's big. They could take a lot of control here.
Yeah, it's going to be Walty. Swings his way through towards Garden, can't find any more. The last line of defense is the KO. It's going to be Cam trying to hold the fortress down if he can. But either way, that spike should go down relatively uncontested. Mercedes Peak. And try and open up a line of vision from Garden after breaking out the door. But this post-plant setup is so good, though, for the side of Cog. They've got the... Cam, hello? Question mark?
Oh, no!
Oh, no! Oh, dear. Oh, get Cam off KO right now. That is appalling. Mercedes Peak gonna just save herself the Vandal into the next round, and well, that's gonna be 2 of the freest kills, as you like, for Profit there to jump up and grab. Questionable there from Cam, trying to find the wall bounce off a bit of scaffolding on the KO flash, but either way, that's the 3rd on the round count for the side of Cognizant, and you know they've really caused Gladius a bit of trouble here. I think they come into this, they know the way that Gladius like to play, and they've just got so aggressive that Gladius haven't had time to set up to do that.
Yeah, and sometimes you can just completely bamboozle your opponents with so much pressure, so much aggression, and I think that's what Cognizant are going for right now. You know, I was a little bit anxious. I wasn't sure they were going to be able to quite deliver, but so far they're kicking things off with aplomb, and I'm really impressed by these first 2 rounds. But the question is, can they keep up that pace? Can they keep up that tempo? They cannot let go, and they have to keep on punishing Cognizant. If one round goes the way of Gladius, then I think Cognizant might start to lose that momentum.
I think the one thing to mention is both these teams have that sort of domino and spiral effect about them, right? That they can easily put rounds on the board, within the blink of an eye. But from the side of Gladius, though, it's a bit of counter-aggression towards the middle of the map. They're going to edge 4 players out from short and towards mid. Profit, though, an uncharacteristic miss on the operator from him, so that's going to be the information from the side of Gladius that Cog are over towards that B site. However, they have got 2 plays. What Cog are doing fantastically is the split play on the map. You look at the map, they've always got control over the whole map. Okay, cool. 3 players are over towards B Garage. They've got 2 players, though, in Walty and Pate just lurking up towards a main, trying to get control over it. They're only going to be having Mike lying in wait. They know they're on an eco, so 9 out of 10 times they should back themselves to win this engagement. And this should be the A site pretty much free for the taking here for the side of Cognizant.
Yeah, I think this is a really good call as well for them when you have so many flashes as well. You can really close down so much of this. The Rolling Thunder actually coming through to try and make sure that they definitely pick up this round, that they don't lose out to the pistols, because as I said before, if they lose that pressure, lose that momentum, things are going to go bad. Yeah,
I'm not too sure about the Rolling Thunder, to be honest with you. I'd have rather kept it for the next round, but maybe the thought process was if there's a couple on site, I can sort of get that Rolling Thunder back quite quickly off the back of this round anyway. Speaking about a couple on site, Mike is going to fall. It's all up to Mercedes Peak, although does find the first. It's going to be Pate who falls. And the 2 remaining players, though, for the side of Gladius might just try and keep their guns through to the next Mercedes. Probably going to have to try and save that Vandal if he can. The Sheriff in the hand as well with Housey. This is a bit uncharacteristic from Gladius, to be honest with you. They're usually a team that are quite decent at adjusting to the style of play of a team and imposing their style, but it's been anything but that at the moment for this side, as that's the 4th on the board for the side of Cognizant. The only round they've lost was the bonus, which in my opinion wasn't really a lost round, to be totally honest with you, because of how much damage they've done. And how important is that bonus round going to be come the end of the game, because they've now forced an eco out of Gladius within the next 3 rounds because of dropping so many Vandals out of their hands when they had just Spectres, and here comes the timeout from Gladius.
Yeah, I think Gladius is making a really good call here, because right now they are getting kind of confused, really unsure about how to deal with Cognizant. You were saying earlier that they're really good at adapting, and I think that's very true, but it might not necessarily be something they've ever really seen before from a well-drilled team. Obviously, you see aggression like this from random pugs and when you're playing ranked, but when it's coordinated, when you've got those duos and those trios working really well together, and you've got the individual, I think this kind of entire comp focuses around Pate on this Neon, because Neon can play alone. She is absolutely self-sufficient, but also they've been putting the breach with her. They've been able to give her the backup, and as a result, Pate, he's really been able to go to town in how he's playing this game, playing aggressively. And obviously, you've got everybody else playing well on this team as well, but that's the real focal point.
And that's something that we said, right? It's a point that I made, that as soon as I saw the KO and the breach pick behind the Omen as well with the Neon, we were like, this is going to be really set up for a high, fast-paced attacking half for the side of Cognizant, and that's exactly what's happened. You've got Prophet playing fantastically well, 6 and 2 on the chamber. Pate with the opening frags. How many times has he got in towards Pizza, or out towards B site and into Market within the space of like 20 seconds of the round start and 10 seconds of the round start? And that's why the Neon is so viable, and I think we'll start to see it more in high level play as the season starts to go on. But I mean, across the board though, I've got to say Gladius are having a bit of a tough task thus far, but a bit of counter aggression over towards A long. The Haunt comes through eventually. It's not going to reveal anyone this time, however. And I think I need to see more of this from Gladius. I think they need to maybe just split push 2 out towards Garage, 2 out towards A, get that early information early on. But this is going to be Halsey, though. A dead man walking, unfortunately, as the aftershock leaves a shock in his brain, you could say, to least, as he's going to fall. And here comes the Neon Overdrive.
Yeah, she is looking to go deep here. There are some players that get tagged up a little bit as well. You see the Omen teleporting on in, but look at that fragment. It beats away Mercedes Peak, and Pate is still hungering, looking for something, looking for an opening where they can, but with an Odin on the other side of that smoke, that might go badly very quickly. But look at Pate looking for the pace, looking for the aggression, gets caught by the concuss here, and delays themselves for a little bit as they have to run away as the Overdrive runs out.
Yeah, Chinch, though, 2 HP left alive in towards Garden. Can he try and find himself a kill? Profit there, though, causing Mercedes Peak the trouble, no doubt. Chinch is just playing off the contact, although Samo pulls out the tour de force and drops Walty. Pate's there to find 2. Profit finds the 3rd. See you later, Mercedes Peak. It's going to be the 5th on the board for Cognizant, and this is a stellar start to Ascent for the attacking side.
I'm so impressed, honestly, by the way they managed to pull that off. The Overdrive got popped, didn't even matter. Pate kind of pushed forward, and they'd still managed to deliver with the Vandal. Profit has been in the right place at the right time, and I mean, that's the thing about Chamber. The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world, and Profit has been just that. Still has that ultimate available, even if he dies. His economy is at 8.8k. Cognizant are rolling in it.
He's also got the tour de force as well, so he doesn't even need to force the operator into the next round after this. So that's just going to continue to build the economy, and that's going to be heartbreaking for the side of Gladius because, you know, they've just come off the back of a tactical timeout as well, and they've just been absolutely rolled in their defensive setup. I like the counter aggression, the Haunt that tried to push out towards A long to pick up a few kills. It just didn't work though, but Profit does find again what I feel like is the 6th time in as many rounds the first frag with that operator in this game. And although Mercedes Peak is there to find 1 and recycle the Vandal into hands, it's just so hard for the side of Gladius to stop this momentum for the side of Cog. It really is. And anytime it looks like they've sort of got the answers, another question is just thrown in the way of Gladius by Cognizant.
One thing I think they really need to be able to do is shut down Pate like we saw today and like we saw just earlier, but it's going to be easier said than done. Do actually get some notion, do understand where Profit is. That nade goes in, but it won't destroy the teleporter. That's the important thing. So even if things go wrong, Profit can go back. But look at this. This is actually a big bait. That's all it is. And he can teleport out so easily. It looks like actually they're rotating back on over, and now that will be communicated as Chinch takes down Halsey in mid. That means there's going to be a lot of information communicated very quickly.
I think they played the double bluff, surely. They're going to know that their players have seen them rotate. That's why I think they've allowed 1 player on Gladius Cam just to be chilled over towards the back of Boathouse on B site. But Profit has got so much control over this site with the Operator and Headhunter in hand. Although the door is destroyed, it's going to be the Operator in his hand to try and delay the push on the retake from Gladius. And I mean, that's a great play from Mike. The satchel as well, followed by the headshot on the Sheriff. Here comes the Gnaw on the defensive, on the attacking side. Sorry, should I say it's going to be Chinch who pops that. Mike trying to get work done with the Sheriff if possible. Is going to find the first point of contact. A few shots swift over towards Joseph. Still very doable now. No, even more doable as Mike and Mercedes are going to combine for a few kills. It's all up to Chinch. They know where. Oh my God, the 1-tap from Chinch onto the Raze. It doesn't matter though because the time is still ticking down, and Gladius and Mercedes Peak gonna find the defuse. The 1-tap from Chinch. This man plays Aim Labs.
He certainly does, and you know, that's again shows just how good even the bottom fragger right now for Cognizant is. Chinch is one hell of a player. Definitely excited to see more from them. Is going to be going forward because he hasn't had much of a chance to step up. But I'll tell you what, who hadn't had much of a chance to step up until just now. Mike was 0-6 at the start of this round, with 3-7 with 3 fantastic frags. Starting off with that one on Profit, you highlighted that satchel charge, man. It was so sick to push him out, make sure he couldn't scope in with that operator, and then it's all down to the Sheriff, baby.
Yeah, Sheriff. Headshot machine to say the least. Now Samo can try and impose an operator of his own. Just narrowly timing, misses out though on that 1 player. But look at Pate again. He's so aggressive. He's already got past that trademark and honestly instantly disabled the effect of it. And this is the problem that the side of Gladius are going to keep having when Pate goes mid, because, you know, you sort of got to force 2 players to watch that. You've got to have 1 player watch out towards the back of CT, and then you've got to have the other sort of watch market to make sure that he's not pushed out on towards the site. And it just opens up so much room and space on the map for the rest of the team. on the side of Cognizant, but this is what I like about Cognizant and what they do well. Okay, they get the initial aggression, but then they just take their foot off the gas slightly and relax, and what these Gladius players can't do is forget that Patty is here, of course. They're still going to have to dedicate 2 players towards this sort of middle side of the map, and it allows this here, the side of Cognizant, to just start creeping up their way through Catwalk into short and take control of Garden. Here comes the 0 point, and that's going to reveal exactly where Housey is, but are they going to know that Mike's lying in wait here in hell? Can he drag a few players there with him and try and keep his Gladius side into this round? He does. It's Chinch who finds the first. Nate does come out, followed by that Boombot, but guess what? Walty's there to swing and find the kill. Spike's planted, 4v4.
Yeah, we do see the ultimates come back on out the Rolling Thunder too, but Halsey still picks up one, and they're starting to push on it, but Pate is on the flank.
Yeah, Pate's so aggressive once again. Worked his way back and wormed his way in towards Garden, although Halsey is going to drop Walty. Eventually, they're not going to surely anticipate 2 players on the flank, but it doesn't matter because Pate actually left Profit. 3 versus 1, 3 versus none. Speaking of 3s, it's a triple from Housey, 3rd on the board for Gladius.
So Gladius do pick up the round, and they're starting to maybe break some of that momentum that Cognizant do have. I still want to highlight this round, right? We saw, by the way, Pate come on in, sit in market, fantastic pressure. You can't do man marking because you have to cover both exits. So that's 2 players locked down from Cognizant, from Gladius that have to stay around there. The smoke goes in. You can play around. You can even pull the player away from that, and we see that happen almost instantly. Deals with the Prowler, shows that they're still there, and then runs straight back to go and help that A site. Sure, it didn't work out in the end, that's fine, but I love the ideas which Cognizant is bringing to the fore right now. But Gladius has started to understand just what makes them tick, and just because you're trying to attack in those small seconds where the utility gives you, does not mean you can still take down a strong team like Gladius.
Yeah, it's the minor changes as well. That at the first sort of 5 or 6 rounds, you would see Gladius over-rotate, you know, and commit to the aggressive play that they thought was happening from Cognizant, but now they took the foot off the gas. But one team that hasn't took the foot off the gas is Cognizant. Mike finds the first, but instantly traded a 2-for-1 trade as that Profit and Joseph combined for a few kills. That Spike should go down free of charge for the side of Cog. And they're going to get themselves straight back off that site before these players of Gladius have even rotated. And now you're trying to say to yourself, what do we do here? Is this an auto-save for the side of Gladius? There is still time to work with, of course. However, they've not got much in terms of the ult economy to try and get their way back onto the site. If they had the null, for example, or the Fade ult, it could work very, very well. But they have got the bullets in the chamber of the Vandal, though, in the hands of Cam. The KO diff well and truly up and running. Cognizant now, they're trying to hold on to this A site, and they're doing it fantastically well. As Samo is eventually going to fall its Profit there once again with the operator, that dynamic duo. How many times have we seen it? But how many times have we seen this? Is Mercedes Peak left in a 1v1 against Walty. He tries to stick, he tries to find the kills, but Walty's there to find the headshot, cleans up shop 6-3 in favour of Cognizant.
Yeah, fantastically played there by Walty, using concussion to make sure they locked that round out, and it was looking shaky. But at the very end, they do manage to deal with Gladius, and that was all off the back of just how good their initial position was. They got into that site, got that spike on down, and controlled so much of the map. And in spite of fantastic play from Gladius to almost make it happen, it doesn't quite take them over the line. The lack of ultimates. That was a 3 versus 5, I believe, on the retake, and
yep.
Gladius got oh so close.
Yeah, it was... I mean, if Mercedes Peak doesn't stick the spike and probably swings a different angle, he finds the kill, but one person that does swing an angle is Profit, and I think Profit is just edging Samo out here in this operator battle and this chamber battle towards the middle of the map at any angles that they seem to face. But again, the first frag goes in favour of Cognizant here, Rook. How many times have we said that so far in this game? And it's something that needs to change if Gladius want to try and find some success. They can't allow the attack inside, especially when they've got the likes of a Fade, for example, not a Fade, sorry, Neon, for example, to not only have map control, but to have player advantage as well. It's just going to make their life so hard to hold on to these spike sites.
Yeah, I think it's really impressive that Cognizant are constantly the ones positing the questions to Gladius, and it feels like Gladius, they're trying to answer them, but, I mean, there's too many problems coming their way. They have to deal with a lot here. Halsey has got to get a good spray down, otherwise it's going to be oh so hard.
Pay does sneak through enemy lines. There's one backside, but I think they heard the pop flash come through. If they've not heard him, they've seen him, but it doesn't matter because Cam goes crazy with the triple. Left in a 2 versus 2 now. The overdrive available though in the hands of Pate, but guess what? The life not available for Chinch as Mercedes Peak, the main man for Gladius, as he is always time and time again, is left alive. The overdrive not even put to use. The spike defuse comes through. Huge triple from Cam at the back of the site.
I cannot believe he picked that up. Such a big mistake there from Cognizant. It's not like they didn't know he was there. They absolutely knew. They put their omen into the back of sight. He got sent back from whence he came, and then the rest of them were sent to hell.
It's one of those situations where if you're all peeking the same angle, you don't peek behind each other, right? One of you wide swings, one of you close swings, or in that sort of situation, just face one by one and delay the kill, because then you'll just have someone trade from a different angle. But they swing the same angle at the same time, the collateral comes through. Just like that, the fourth goes on the board for the side of Gladius. And I mean, the rounds that Cognizant have lost, they've kind of been the catalysts of their own downfall and made their own mistakes, really. And those errors have led to round losses. It's not been too much that Gladius have answered back. Of course, in that round, you've got to say props to the KO for finding a triple and a 3K. But as soon as something goes in the way of Gladius, it is going to be the side of Cog who just answer back. Oh my god, Pate absolutely control ults, deletes Mike off the map. Samo, though, for the first time, winning that engagement against Profit. Rolty with the aftershock onto Mercedes Peak is going to keep the numbers, though, in favor of Cog.
Yep, swaps back on over to that Vandal. No longer has access to that overdrive. Only 4 little seconds left of that one as Rolling Thunder starts to come on through, but it doesn't hit all too much. Walty not able to buy too much space for their teams. And Neon starts to move on in here. Almost finds that shot, gets Halsey just before the paranoia hits.
Yeah, luckily for Pate, doesn't get fully blinded by it and can live to see another day. Samo can't be quick scoping there. My man, 7th round on the board for Cognizant and a half win at least at that. As we head into our final round here, as Cog tried to put it 8-4. Can Gladius find the 5th?
I mean, for those of us who don't know, how impactful is it the fact that they're going to be coming out of the attacking half of Ascent here with a with a round advantage?
Very, very big, and the fact that they've got a 4-round advantage as well is even better, especially against a side like Gladius that we've done nothing but praise their defensive side and their sort of their strongholds as well, and their style of play on the defensive halves on a map like Ascent. We know that this is their stomping ground; they love it. So the fact that they're coming out with a potential 4-round lead here is very, very huge. Ascent's a map that is so hard to break the lines on a good defensive hold with.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see as well how Cognizant do play on that defensive side with this composition, but I don't think it's possible to kind of play this more contact style.
I think they're going to keep playing aggressively. I think they'll just keep sending Pate out towards mid and trying to get behind enemy lines. I think they have to. It's just the way that the team comp's set up. You've got to play off contact. You can't really afford to play slow-paced and try and hold default setup angles, because that's when, you know, the more util-based team comp will work. But Samo finds the first on the headshot to Profit. Mike, though, lying in wait. They're not going to think that he's here because... Mike, be patient. Oh, he'd run away. Mike, can he find the nade? Doesn't he? Puts Pate on 1 HP. The nade comes through. Surely cleans him up. Or does it? How is Pate still alive here? Samo falls. Joseph finds the kill through the Radiolite box towards short. It's all going on here in round number 12 on Ascent. Somehow, 2 players on Cognizant who are both a trickle of HP. My friend, you could sneeze at these players and they were definitely full. But guess what? There goes one. That wasn't a player who was low either. That was actually Chinch and Halsey. They're going to walk straight into him for the triple, and that's the 5th on the board for Gladius. How on earth did the side of Cognizant stay alive for so long there in the Wolves' middle of the map? But Gladius, they finally clean up shop. 5th on the board for them. And if they win this pistol, they're right back in this game.
They absolutely are, but still, they've got to have a really effective attacking side, and that's going to be easier said than done, especially versus all the pressure that is likely to come their way. I cannot believe that previous round, but moving on to the next, I mean, this pistol was very dominant. I mean, very dominant for Cognizant, right? And I don't know if Gladius have ways to kind of deal with that. Maybe when they're the ones calling the shots, things would be a little bit easier for them, because I think so far Cognizant have really been driving the point home and choosing the avenue which the game is going to go, regardless of what happens here. They're the ones making the decisions.
Yeah, and I think that we're going to see Pate just fly down mid, and that's exactly where he's going to be. The issue that Cog are going to have on defense here is they've not got a lot of util that would delay a push onto the site. Yeah, they've got the fragment, for example. They might have the aftershock as well for the breach, but other than that, you know, it's not like they've got the chamber trademarks, or sorry, they've not got the fade horn to get info. They've not got the boom bot and nade from the raise, so it's a little bit harder for them to hold this site, especially once Chinch is going to be spotted. Mike finds the first, but Joseph's there to trade, can't find any more as the side of Gladius are going to waltz their way onto the site and get the spike down. Pate, though, instantly going to trade back and make this a 3 versus 3 here, and a very, very doable retake. And look at Profit. He's already behind enemy lines. He spotted Cam as well. He's going to get the angle on the cross too, surely.
Oh, they're playing footsies. They're trying to see who's going to go for that one, trying to maybe bait out more information, maybe go for that flash at some point. I don't know if he has access to any more, as this is the first round. It's not too much utility, but look at that. Halsey is going to go down here, and now they've got control off-site, but control on-site is in the hands of Cognizant.
Yeah, and it's going to be a jiggle onto the spike. That's going to bait out Cam Pate there. But guess what? So Samo with the headhunter, not a lot of HP. One player's got a stick, one's got a swing. Quadra for Pate. This man has built diff on Neon.
He surely is. And this time doesn't even take the frenzy. I thought we were going to see that one again, but it was great seeing it up close and personal in that first round. And we were saying Gladius, if they pick up this first round, this pistol round, they're going to be right back in the swing of things. But Cognizant, they take control. They do not give them a chance just yet.
They've won both pistols as well. That's the issue that Gladius are gonna have due to the fact that Cog, you know, we saw what they did on the last bonus round as well. They're a team here that I think if they can continue to implement this aggro style of play onto the side of Gladius, it's just going to be a bit of a tough spot and bit of pill to swallow really for Gladius. Even then, okay, they find the first frag initially at the start of the round with Mike, but Patty's just instantly there to trade back, and well, Prophet, he's going to find Samo as well, and Samo's had a very, very tough time in that chamber battle so far.
Yeah, it's not like he's a weak chamber player as well, but Prophet's really
player.
been stepping up his play, and I'm so glad to see that. Love seeing this guy succeed, and I mean, now on the chamber, he's been playing around a lot of different things. He understands how to hold an angle and can teleport away if things go wrong. That's always the thing, right? The chamber could dip out of these bad situations.
And he knows always at the right time when to dip out, but unfortunately, I don't think he's going to realize that Mike has snuck behind enemy lines here. This is a great spot that Mike's found himself in. The only issue, though, is they've got to try and deal with Prophet, who's got that headhunter in his hands. Finds the first onto Halsey. And they are still going to be trying to work their way towards this B site. 2 players pushed up in towards Pizza and Market.
They know. They know now. They hear that. That's really important. Now that they're going to be able to deal with this problem, it's going to be much more comfortable for them. But Mike is waiting right here. They got to check the corner. Come on, buddy. The flash goes deep, and he just hands them on the silver platter. But Pate luckily gets the refrag.
Yeah, I think Mike could have had a bit more better trigger discipline there. 4 versus 2. Flash comes through on the paranoia as well. That's going to be Mercedes Peak, who's going to have a bit of a tough spot trying to locate anybody. And with 20 odd seconds left, the side of Gladius, well, they got to go here. It is going to be, though, 2 kills that come through. But their biggest problem is I think 2 players actually saved Sheriffs in that round anyway and didn't pick up a Spectre regardless. So we might even be able to see the likes of Samu, for example, pick up a Spectre buy or even a full buy going into this should he want to on that. And oh no, sorry, Prophet is who I meant, sorry. And that's exactly what happens. We see the Vandal go into his hands as well. You can't lose this bonus round if you're Gladius. You just really can't.
You really can't. And we saw that kind of not quite happen last time, but the economic damage was so big that Cognizant were then able to take 3 rounds on the trot. Gladius need to be really careful as well that that doesn't happen again, because that could end so badly for them. And that would be very painful indeed to have that happen yet again and be shoved down below the surface yet again.
Well then, a very important round number 15 here. EPIC36. We are in day 2. If you've just joined us, it's Cognizant versus Gladius, map number 1 in the best of 3 series. After this, we'll head to Haven, and should we need it, Icebox is the decider. But so far, it's safe to say Cognizant have had the upper hand and the upper advantage in 9 out of 10 rounds we've really seen thus far. And well, although it is going to be Pate over peaks and falls, a little bit too over eager there in this round, and that could cost them very vitally.
Ooh, Prophet almost gets taken down there actually, and now getting completely denied the ability to use those that teleport. He will actually have to back away and put himself in a very dire situation. He gets sprayed through, and that's a lot of control for Gladius here. And look at Mike, he's so aggressive.
Yeah, Mike up close and personal finds the first, snaps onto the second. That's a triple for him in here. All up to Chinch. He's got to save the Vandal through to the next. And finally, a little bit of break of momentum here for Gladius.
Yeah, and this time they don't lose a bunch of players in this bonus round. Sorry, against this bonus round. That's the most important thing. They still have that eco. In fact, they have a null command now, so they've got a decent amount to work with here. And I think that'd be a really good investment, right? Use the null command effectively. Make sure you win this round and start to recoup some of your losses, because otherwise, if it comes close and you're lost and you still got that null command, you're going to be really kicking yourself, because Cognizant will then get back in control. They'll be double digits, and they'll really be able to run the money and control the pace of the game, as they were doing in the previous half.
No mistakes can be made, though, from Gladius. They can't allow what happened last time when they had another full buy going into the buy round and then just get absolutely rinsed off the face of the earth. That's not what you can have happen. If they win this, they're going to then look at Cognizant and say, okay, we're putting you under a bit of pressure now. That's when the economy can start to be a little bit shaky on the side of Cog. And there could still be a few more rounds left here in this game. And surprising, we're actually going to see a Spectre buy-in from Prophet, as well as the judge from Walty. It's a big statement here from Cognizant. They're going to try something different here and win this round. And if not, their economy definitely not going to be the best for wear.
No, they are going to be very much a ramshackle buy here, and if anything else, it's going to be, well, little to nothing. But I do think this judge can definitely succeed, especially on the defense here on this map. But this time, Samo's the one who wins out. He'll swap on over to that Spectre in short order. And Cognizant not finding themselves in control yet again. Gladius much more able to seize this map.
Yeah, a little bit more control on the attacking side now so far for Gladius, but there's still a long way to go in this round, and there's still a lot more players to kill as Joseph's going to find Mercedes peak, and just like that, the 4 versus 5 numbers advantage wiped off the map, and it's 4 versus 4 here. No Commando still available, like you mentioned, in the hands of Gladius. It's going to be interesting to see if they decide to invest that one in here. Samo, though, getting a little bit too close for comfort. Finds the first, can't find the second. That's going to be spiked down. That's going to be the information for the side of Gladius that spike's going to be heading over towards B. The null command invested as well, and there goes Mike. How on earth are Gladius throwing this round away here, Rook?
Man, I would have loved to see them group up, use that number advantage they had from the start, but they squander it. And now Calm tries to move on in. They peek out on it, but the Jewels are one, but Chinch holds strong. And Cognizant win out an all-important round here. Look, the Econ's not going to be good on either side, but Cognizant at double digits, they're very happy with that.
Oh, I'm shaking my head, Rook. I really, really am. I mean, they find the first pick, Gladius, which is great. Okay, they get caught with Joseph, but you're still in a 4 versus 4. You then make it a 4 versus 3 because Samo catches one with their pants down. You can't allow Chinch to then find 2 quick kills like that to trade it out. And then in the 2 versus 1, although I think it was Samo who finds one of the kills, it's going to be a refrag from Chinch to find the triple. And it must be so disappointing and frustrating for Gladius because they're on the verge of success 9 times out of 10, but they just can't get over the line. But can they do it now? As Pate and Profit, they're both going to fall, and this is a heavy numbers advantage here in favour of Gladius.
Yeah, seeing if they could get it down the line, but honestly, Cognizant were sprinting down the line right there, giving 2 quick kills over and a lot of damage as well onto that breach. So Gladius in a very strong round here, and should be able to recoup a lot of their economic losses that we saw in the previous one. So I think this is fantastic for them, unless we see a really step-up play from the members of Cognizant. It should just be Gladius, play to their numbers, use their utility, and lock out the round in short order. They are rotating over to this B site. They might be falling right into the trap of Cognizant. If this goes wrong, it will be a car crash for Gladius.
I can't believe they've not just, like... Surely they wait for the Haunt, for the Fade, to get the information as to who's on B site. The only issue is, though, is 3 players are set up towards the back of Boathouse and into the back of site, so they're not going to be located by that Haunt. Oh, I'm calling it. This is going to go horribly wrong. This is going to go horribly wrong for Gladius. I really think it is. They're going to walk straight into the Lions Den here with 3 players lying in wait, and again, the Haunt's not spotted any of them. One flash here. One flash is all it takes. Falling in love with Valorant, apparently, as all of a sudden Chinch finds 2. It's going to be a 2 versus 2. The TP instantly out from Halsey, though. That is a huge from the shadows from him.
He knows that this could have gone oh so wrong, oh so quickly, especially with that timer closing in. There were 14 seconds on the clock as that spike went down there. If that hadn't happened, they would have had to hightail it all the way across the map and deal with Cognizant hounding them at every opportunity.
I've just realised they had the null command on Cog available as well, so that could have shut down the From the Shadows TP out as well. That's so heartbreaking from Cog. But either way, though, this is still very, very winnable from this Cognizant side. The 2 players, though, both set up off of the site. They're actually set up all the way. Chinch, hello? Do you want it? Chinch? Just taking damage left, right, and centre. All of a sudden, surely they're going to know that he's out here towards short. Halsey finds one. Royalty's just going to boogie his way off the site. And just like that, the 7th on the board from Gladius. That was so nail-bitingly close, though, from Gladius throwing that one away.
Yeah, that really just had no right to be that close. Literally, at the start of the round, if you guys were not there for it, and if you were, I'll recap it. They had 2 players run out, 2 key players in Pate and Profit walk out, get headshot, die instantly. And Gladius were like, okay, great. We have access to ultimates, we have ways to get onto the site. Let's just push. Let's use our utility. They wait way too long. They use the Haunt on the site where 3 players are stacking. Again, what a call by Cognizant. Do not see a single one of them proceed to move on and nearly lose the round, if not for a fantastic call from their Omen to use that From the Shadows to get over to the A site and lock it out.
Like I said, if the null command come through, though, as well in the hands of Chinch, it could have gone so many different ways. But but Prophet's there once again. The chamber diff out in full effect. The tour de force quite literally being a force to be reckoned with here, as numbers advantage for what seems like every single time here in favor of Cognizant. And you know, even that last round when the numbers were advantage of Gladius, they still only just creep over the line in a 2 versus 2. Rotation comes through though from the A site over towards B. They have got 2 players lying in wait, though the Aftershock probably will delay that push out ever so slightly. And with the tour de force in Prophet's hand, this is still so doable.
The takedown Walty, and Prophet does not have access to that, but can swap on over to the gun now, but is reloading the Vandal and is caught with his pants down. Mercedes takes them down, and 3 versus 4 now. They have a lot of flashes, they're always on in, but look at Mercedes Peak trading 1-for-1 with the backup from Calm and Mike. They shut them out.
That 0-point knife has just won them that round from the KO. That was so huge from Chinch, because Prophet's going to swing that. If he gets 1 kill, that slow orb goes down after the tour de force kill, and he probably picks up 1 or 2 more as well. So that is a huge 0 point to shut down that ability quickly as you like. And although they do lose 2 players here, Gladius, they find that important 8th round. It was on a round where Cognizant did eco and only invested the tour de force ult. It's safe to say Gladius aren't done just yet, and now Cog, they're going to be the ones that take a timeout.
That could have been way worse for Gladius, so I think they're very happy with how that one went. But yeah, Cognizant sitting here going, okay, we squandered the last couple of rounds. We even found an opening frag that time, and even then it didn't quite manage to happen. But because they had the weapon disadvantage, I don't think they should feel too hard done by. They can definitely pick this one up, but it's got to be kind of returned to Cognizant have control over the game. They don't overpeak and die, and then they dictate the rest of the pace of the round.
Yeah, we do see the tour de force available as well here for Samo, right? In the hands of Gladius. So, I mean, him versus the other chamber player on the side of Cognizant Prophet. That's been a bit of a talking point, really. I think we should probably talk about that after the game in terms of, you know, at the start it was really Prophet who was getting the better of Samo, but now Samo seems to be clawing his way back into the equation. And the question from the shadows, though, available from the side of Cognizant, should they want to use it. That's Joseph with that. The null command also in the hands of Chinch, like mentioned. What do you think was going on in that tactical timeout? What were Cog saying to each other?
I think Cog was saying, okay, right, let's make sure we don't push over the kind of the line which would put us in a bad situation, because prior to the previous round, they literally lost players by over-peaking multiple times. And if Pate stays alive, that's great. If Prophet especially needs to stay alive on this chamber so that he can provide pressure to those long angles. And luckily here, Prophet is not going to be peeking out on the same. Oh no, I thought he was on Gunner. And then Samo just takes him off the face of the earth, and this is exactly what Gladius need, and what Cognizant took that time out to discuss and to try and avoid.
Yeah, it's minor mistakes like that as well that you just can't afford to have happen to you when, you know, sort of the momentum is swinging in favour of the opponents, but Pate getting so aggressive. 3 players getting aggressive actually here out towards A main. Surely that's the information.
Yeah, Gladius knew that that flash had come and that there was another player there. Why didn't they go for anything on their own terms?
I mean, I'm surprised with the fact that Cognizant have still committed so many players to here, and equally as confused on Gladius at the fact that I think they're going to play for that rotation now, which is okay. I understand a little bit of delayed presence now as well. The TP comes back through to top mid as well from the chamber, but the side of Cognizant, they've got more than enough ult economy to try and work with this retake here. The Rolling Thunder available for the breach, should they want it. Surely you got to put it across site. If they put this Rolling Thunder across site, it's very, very winnable here. The only issue is, though, is that breach is going to be 5 HP to Walty. They are going to hear the plant now, and I think they are electing to save these guns over towards B.
I don't think it's a bad shout here.
No,
I think Cognizant realised that you do.
I agree. I think it's a great shout.
Okay.
I think it's a great shout. I mean, I think you're gonna probably say Cognizant realise that it's a bit of a lost cause. They got a player that's down, you know, to around 5 or 6 HP. There's no point just throwing the guns away. Save those ults into the next round, and you can try and win it.
Yeah, look, you could try and gamble, but I don't think Cognizant are a team that really needs to. They've been playing really great VALORANT in terms of calculating how their opponents are going to react to a lot of the problems. If they can take a couple of guns away here, that's fantastic. Obviously, there's going to be no tour de force next round, regardless of what happens here, and they've gotten Mike off the board as well. But Mercedes could easily clap a couple of these players. Good flash, sets off for it, but whiffs the shots at range, and actually Chinch finds it. Another flash, and even then they find nothing. Chinch is delivering. The tour de force is landing nowhere, and now they're all dead.
What? Gladius, what are you doing? I am lost for words. I want to know what the economy is looking like now for Gladius. Surely it's not too great. Okay, they can buy into the rounds, however, but surely you just say to yourself, let's just build the economy slightly. A little bit of trash talking going on, saying someone needs to pick up Hame Labs and download it. But I mean, either way, the economy though on the side of Cognizant not looking too great.
No, true.
The ults are still there; they're still usable, but I think I saw a Spectre and a Guardian out maybe for the side of Cognizant as well into this round. So we could be looking at an even Stevens tied game here in game number 1.
Really could be. Gladius, they were under so much pressure in that first half, but Cognizant, they've dropped the ball a little bit. They managed to do some great dancing to try and avoid that gunplay before, but they only managed to save 3 rifles, and Gladius still have that weapon advantage. So something to keep in mind here is Gladius play that slightly slower style, and Cognizant choosing not to play as aggressive, and I'm so glad to see that. They keep on just losing players randomly, and as a result, they found themselves on the back foot round after round after round.
And again, though, is it going to prove costly? Profit, I think, forgot he had left mouse button bound to fire for a second there, but they are going to know that he's there. No presence revealed yet, though, from the Fade abilities. And they're still holding strong here. They've got Pate pushed up towards short as well to shut down any rotation through Catwalk. They've got Housey in and around mid with that spike still.
30 seconds
And they're going to
left.
walk straight into Pate here with the judge. Oh, patience though, Pate. Why not just have patience? The flash comes through. Oh, the rolling. Oh no, this has been one of the most scrappiest rounds of Valorant I've seen in a long time. Although Profit's there to find 2. Housey and Mike trade it back out, but with 10 seconds left, there's not enough time from Samo. A big investment on the Rolling Thunder though there from the breach. I mean, I guess he just sort of gambled the fact that he might be pushing out towards A main and swing off a bit, but I don't think you really needed to do that with such little time left into the round. It's a big ult to invest, but 11th on the board now for Cognizant.
I mean, at the very least, I believe it was to try and counteract some sort of push from the Fade, because that Fade ult did come in, and that's why we saw the shots start to come on through from Pate. I think they were looking, going, all right, I need to shut this down, puts the concussion in as well, so no one can come to follow up off of that Fade ultimate. That was the most key thing there, because otherwise that could have led to a push. I don't think it would have anyway because of the positioning of Cognizant on the map, but that was the plan for Gladius there, and the fact that it did not work out for them was brutal, because that was one of their key ultimates for trying to force something to happen. And now with Cognizant only 2 rounds away from picking up this game, things are looking a little bit more difficult for them.
I think, me personally, I would have rather for him to have just backed up, given the sight up, and then in a 3 versus 5 that he was, then used the ult for the retake that way instead, maybe. But either way, it doesn't matter. No point in talking about if, buts, and maybes, because they won the round out of it anyway. So luckily they did have that short presence, like I mentioned, with Pate. And now for Gladius, they find themselves in that familiar tough spot again, because they're going to be stuck, unfortunately, on that round number 9, and stuck in B main by the looks of it here, as 2 players are going to have to get their way out of trouble, as Chinch is there to find a bit of splash damage. But look at how aggressive Housey's got. The fact that Pate's played this position a few times now has got them really paranoid about going over towards short.
I mean, I would be paranoid about a player sitting there with a judge, you know. Sometimes he can wreak absolute havoc on you. That knife was really, really straight. That ultimate, the null command is fantastic here. And they even managed to pick off Profit, so there's no one sitting on the back line here. But Joseph holds strong and has managed to keep Mike at bay for now.
Can he find any more though, Joseph? He knows players are lurking around. It's Mercedes Peak who's there to find the kill. Walty instantly trades it back out, but Housey, now that he's got the Phantom in his hand, it doesn't matter though, because we're left in a 2 versus 1, 2 versus none. Quadra from Mercedes. Chinch is going to fall, so does Walty. Great stuff from the side of Gladius.
I am so impressed by Mercedes Peak there. Half those kills were with the Sheriff as well. Just walked up, domed 2 players, picked up the rifle, and led to 2 more. Really well played by Gladius there, and all off the back of this player who's been relatively quiet so far this game, but has been impressive over the course of, well, yesterday basically, and hopefully more today.
Well, that's going to be the break of economy for the side of Gladius out on to Cognizant, so they're going to be forced down to the Sheriffs here. This should be 11 rounds apiece, realistically, if you're if you play the round right from the side of Gladius. But then again, touch wood, this is Valorant, and well, Samo is going to just do just that. Easy pickings for the operator as the Omen does fall. It's Joseph who has to sit out, but Profit's there lying in wait. Samo's going to drop. Flash comes through. Patty can't find one. Numbers advantage still in favour of Gladius.
Man, this could have ended so badly for Gladius. They could be down another player, and they almost are again, but Walty barely doesn't manage to land the shot, and now it's 2 versus 4. Gladius still managed to weather the storm in spite of what could have been some absolutely terrifying Sheriff play, but they still don't even manage to find one. Chinches are looking for that little bit more where they can, but with the satchels keeping them away, and with the spike almost ready to go on down, I think Cognizant are really going to have that working out for them.
I think
Planted.
you try to take a few exits with him if you can. No point trying to be over ZS. He's only got the Sheriff to work with, so I think saving the Sheriff into the next round isn't something that you really necessarily have to do. It's going to be a bit of info from that 0-point note to let him know where Mercedes Peak is, but surely here, Rook, you just play for an exit if you can with the Sheriff. Try and pick up a gun and take it into the next round. It's not the worst of situations to find yourself in, but it is going to be 11 rounds apiece. All even Stevens here on Ascent. After the side of Cognizant stormed out to a very, very convincing lead. The side of Gladius, they're not going down without a fight.
He at least gets one kill. Chinch isn't too hard done by on that one. And I think Cognizant should just about have enough money to buy up here regardless. But as you said, they finally tie up those scores. And whatever advantage Cognizant had in that first half where they felt like they were dictating the pace of everything, where they were in so much control, has really come to a halt. And I think that Gladius are now looking alive and kicking.
Just taking a little look at the scoreboard as well. Tour de Force available for Cognizant from the Shadows 2. The Overdrive nearly coming online, but you have got that Fade ult in the hands of Mercedes Peak though. Should Gladius want to get aggressive off the back of it. If you're the side of Cognizant, you just got to leave Prophet here and let everyone else fill in the blanks on the map. We just let him play this Tour de Force. He doesn't even need to TP out of the first kill, to be totally honest, because because of that slow ability on the Tour de Force. If anyone else peeks with him, he's going to probably find a second frag for his troubles anyway. And I like the change of pace here from Gladius. They've just slowed down a little bit. They're keeping the side of Cognizant guessing. Every second, every tick as the round goes by. Not the most ideal nade out of Mike there.
No, but they do clear out Wine, making sure there's no players waiting there. We saw actually that a little bit from Gladius themselves when they were on the defense, but Cognizant opting to kind of play more on site here as maybe they find a little bit more success. Again, Samo waiting there, expecting a push to come on out because Cognizant, they have been pushing this, and I don't think it's a bad shot to sit here while the rest of the push comes in the other angle, and if Prophet pushes this and dies, that will be a disaster for this Cognizant side.
Disaster indeed. And here comes the ult from the Fade, and here comes the execute onto the site from Gladius. The Haunt, the Prowlers, all coming into play also here from the Fade. It's going to reveal the location. 1 TP comes across. There's 2. There's 3 from Chinch and Joseph. Make it 4, actually, as all of a sudden Samo's left alive. The Lone Warrior on the chamber for the side of Gladius. And for Cognizant, that is a superb hold on the defensive side.
Is it deeper? There's one shot, no more, unfortunately, for Samo. But yeah, Cognizant so heads up. They don't check their corners effectively to Gladius, and as a result, the Omen is able to go to town. Big plays for Halsey here, and that is such, for Joseph, and that's such a nice play for them to be able to deliver when... I can't overstate how much Gladius needed that one to really break the backs. And I mean, look, they've still got rifles, don't get me wrong. They've still got 2 ultimates, but Gladius just can't seem to catch a break. If Cognizant don't overextend and lose a player early, it feels like Cognizant is just happy to play that slower game, to let you push into them, and then have the right number of players in the right spot. But look at these ultimates getting invested here. They really want to catch it, but don't quite get Pate.
Yeah, Pate just ducks round the corner, and the showstopper isn't shutting down anyone today. But speaking of being shut down, Cam's going to go. It's the operator in the hands of Prophet. Walty there, though. Mercedes Peak, he's going to find 2. Halsey's there to find the refrag and the res, but it doesn't matter because Prophet Operator's doing so much work. Joseph's there to find the shots onto Mercedes Peak. And all of a sudden, what was heavy numbers advantage in favour of the side of Gladius has been flipped back into a 2 versus 2. Chinch, though, huge engagement against Mike.
They are absolutely legging it towards that other side. This is a really good call. Look at the health on Halsey right now. 3 HP to their name. So Cognizant very aware that they could take down this player. The site, however, is completely in control. I think making the right call, like making sure they don't go back to B and then moving for that retake. Look at who they've still got alive. They've got a controller, they've got an initiator. They have so much utility to work with. Still a flash, still a fragment. Chinch can set up for this team.
But look at the Omen's HP on Gladius, though. Halsey 3 HP, 70 for Mike. Halsey has to land this first shot here. onto one of these players, surely, if you're the side. There you go, the smoke comes up. That's going to counteract the operator. They've just got to try and locate Mike as quickly as possible now, and the round should be done and dusted for the side of Cog. Are they going to find one? They don't, as Mike holds his nerve, and we're going to overtime.
I can't believe Mike found that. Such impressive play, and managing to survive as well on that B side. What was an absolute mess of utility. So Gladius, dupe it up, take us to that overtime, and I mean, I said this was going to be a 2-0. I still think it's possible, but Cognizant are playing way better than I thought. They brought out some really unique ideas to the table with Pate on this Neon on this map, and I am loving it so far. But pulling it across the finish line is hard for the sprinters, hard for the aggressive players. When Gladius have started to get their numbers, understand what makes them tick, that's where the problems really start to come on in. A timeout taken here. Gladius really are going to sit down and go, okay, here's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see if you caught the message in the chat, but Halsey was fuming that he's hit someone for 147 damage and left them on 3 HP. So it is what it is, though. We do head into overtime. The tactical timeout comes straight into play for the side of Gladius, who are on the defensive side of things still. And they know that I think the key to success for Gladius is to win their defensive rounds, because on offense, the aggression that Cognizant was showing on the defensive side of things, they just couldn't really handle it. And how easily Cognizant were winning attacking rounds on their half, Gladius didn't really have an answer for them when they were on CT. So hopefully Gladius can win this defensive round, because if they don't, it's going to be a tough task to try and keep the side of Cognizant off of. Two forces, though, into the operator here for both Prophet and Samo on the chambers. Very different end of the spectrums, though, you could say. One top of the leaderboard, one bottom.
I mean, Prophet has been really hounding Samo every corner, pretty much. I mean, Samo has found some good frags back, but basically those are the only frags he's really found. Samo's not been able to have the presence that he really wanted to, because on this defense, he had no chance to do anything, which is where Samo, I think, really excels on this Gladius squad when he's on the defense, when he can be able to provide for that. Whereas you look kind of Cam has really stepped up and delivered for the team in his absence, because it's been much more important to have those initiators and have those flashes and all the utility to try and deny the pushes that Cognizant have been so forcefully managing.
Yeah, we are just going to have a bit of a tech pause here come through, as I think Mercedes Peak is having a few issues with his headset. Who would have said having Bluetooth headsets are easier, right, than having wires?
Well, if you're not at LAN.
Yeah, true. If you've got 500 GPS, it's pinging off your signals every 2 seconds. That is always helpful. But, I mean, going into this, I think the momentum's probably actually with the side of Gladius at the moment. If you ask me, you know, how many rounds the side of Cognizant were up, what we're talking about. 4 or 5 rounds at one point. I think Gladius were ahead, and then Cognizant were ahead, but then Gladius just chipped their way back round after round, and there are a few, you know, 50-50 engagements, 1v1s that if they went the other way, for example, I mean,
that last round. Right?
That last round, I mean, cast your mind back to when Halsey TP'd out with the From the Shadows and Chinch got a 3k back sight. You know, if he pops the null command and it denies, you've probably already won the game if you're Cognizant, right?
Yeah. They would have had to force on into that, and I really wouldn't have wanted to be them. But look at this close point. Prophet making such a mistake here, and Samo, who is able to punctuate the start of this round and is able to move back now.
I thought he was about to run through the smoke and try and quickscope someone, honestly, but Pate's there to find a kill. Samo is going to refrag, though, finally. The chamber, the operator coming alive for the side of Gladius. We've been waiting for it. We had so much credit and gave credit where it was due, really, after Samo's performance yesterday on the chamber. He played so well from the games that we saw. But so far, he's yet to really get things going. But could he be the difference maker here as the retake has to come through? But Pate's there to shut down that man indeed. Samo's going to fall. That's a big bit of util in terms of the operator off the equation. But the flashes do come through. Cam and Walty both going to be taking pop shots. All of a sudden, it's left up to Joseph. Finds the first, can't snap onto the second. Mercedes Peak is there. And we are going to see map point go in favor of Gladius.
Far too close for comfort if you're Gladius right now. You're going to be able to get that defuse, but it could have gone so wrong so quickly. Cognizant almost delivering that in the spite of the fact that they lost their chamber right early on here. But Gladius very happy with that, right? You were saying it's going to be hard to stop Cognizant from winning these attacking sides, but Gladius, they kick things off and already shut it down.
It's a vital round as well. I think that Gladius have won. I think if they lose their defensive rounds, it's going to be tough for them to try and break things in here. But look, now that you've got Samo starting to fire on all cylinders, those were 2 huge picks, you know, and to back himself to have the confidence after not performing so well thus far is, you know, you got to say props to him for doing just that. Can Profit now be the denier with the operator? Mike, though, don't do it, my friend. Don't peek the angle. But Profit, and this is just Chamber in general, though. Chamber is just such an aggressive agent you can use these days, but there's the suppression. That's going to open up the doors for them to try and fly onto the site. But on the other side of things, though, Patty's going to fall. It's Halsey who finds the first. That rotation will come through, but are they going to expect Joseph here lying in wait?
Halsey is expecting it there, but you can hear all the util getting set down. They are converting over to this A side, it looks, as the spike is coming on over. Joseph has to deliver here. You can hear them moving on up. You see the head. That's a freebie, but they don't convert it, and that is tragic to see, because now he's going to get double peeked, most likely. There's the... No!
Oh my
he whiffed
God!
on it! Someone making a mistake, but Calm is there. Make sure they don't lose too much, but it's 3 versus 3 now. Cognizant have a chance, and look at that flank from Profit.
Yeah, the Profit flank as well, but not only that, the rotation has come in onto the A site already, so the 2 players for Gladius, they're stuck in towards Garden, and all of a sudden, what was a numbers advantage for the side of Gladius, it's a 3 versus 1 for Cognizant, and Mercedes Peak, they know where he is. He's spotted 2 though. Can he get any damage done? He's got the information as to where 2 are, but it doesn't matter because what he's there to hold the nerve. 13-13 here as Cognizant go huge.
What a disaster there. Gladius, they felt like they had it. They got such a good set. They could have double peaked that, but I don't know why they delayed so much,
confused.
and it fell down flat in front of them. The fact that we saw such an amazing play from Joseph in such dire circumstances was exactly what Cognizant needed, and now they're back on the attack, a place where they should be comfortable, right?
I would like to think so. I would like to think so because, you know, we speak about that Neon. It's caused so much trouble for Gladius on the defensive half when Patty gets so aggressive out towards mid in particular. However, Gladius did start to adjust to that, though, eventually throughout their second half, so I think that's why they're taking the foot off the gas ever so slightly, but... Oh, Gladius, they're going to be kicking themselves, man. How can they just allow one player in Joseph to just find it? I don't know, like you mentioned, I don't know why they just didn't double peek him. It would have made more sense to, right? Just double swing him at the same time, and then from there you pick up the kills and you walk your way onto the site in a 5 versus 3, right? Not a 5 versus 3 in the other way around. It's very confusing, to say the least, for the side of Gladius, but Halsey lying in wait in the smoke. Profit with the op in hand.
Halsey doesn't know and is actually going to smoke it again here, otherwise that could have been a really good opportunity for them. But this is a pretty scary situation, honestly. I'm worried about Profit here. He's holding the angle. Communication should come on through. That's the frag, and he can always teleport away if he needs to, but holds the angle, does Halsey here.
Yeah, I don't think Halsey's going to
He goes for it.
anticipate that he's still there. He does. He must have heard the sound cue that the Ronde TVP snap didn't come through, so not a bad trade there for Gladius. They get a little bit of information as well as to where these players might be heading. Samo, though, operator set up backside here. Disastrous stuff for the side of Cognizant to try and break, but it doesn't matter because he misses the first shot. Here comes Pate, the aggression onto the site from that Neon. Really been the X factor and key element for his attacking side of things here on Cognizant. But guess what? The spike's not gone down. They could deny that with the nade. Surely Chinch, he somehow gets out on 1 HP. Pate, 4v4.
Oh, the shot goes in, takes Samo down with the flashes set up as well. Balti could have a lot of success, but the dark cover comes on in to buy them some space.
All of a sudden, numbers advantage in favour of this team. Cognizant, Haunt, no, going to be instantly shot out from Chinch, so only 1 player has been located, but Mike's located 2 heads of his own. Mercedes and Halsey find 1 apiece. Huge round from Gladius. They win the CT-sided round for them in the overtime, and all of a sudden, they advance to their 2nd map point here in the series.
Honestly, Gladius managing to really step up individually now, which is what they've been needing to do this whole series. They started to get an idea of what to do about Cognizant, but those we saw so many, like, full-on 5v5 fights between these teams, and barely they come out on top, and it's honestly them scampering away from the site, using strategy to their advantage, but now they're starting to win their fights. When you've got players like Mercedes Peak, who has not been delivering so much this game, to really step up, get those frags, that's what I want to see.
Well, all Cognizant want to see right now is a round in their favour. And it has to be that, or they lose the first map. And we'll be heading to Haven with Gladius trying to shut up shop there on a map that probably actually kind of suits both teams, so it could be quite a close affair like this Ascent is. Gladius, though. Oh, they're going to fall straight into the trap. Patty's lying in wait. He's heard them as well, rotating. This is fantastic for the side of Cognizant. Don't get spotted. This is brilliant. Oh no, the side of Gladius. Don't do it. Don't peek. You're not allowed to. Oh my god, Cam! The anticipation, the lineup from Joseph, though. Mike finds one as well. And a 3 versus 3. That was huge for Cognizant, the fact that Joseph just found 2.
I cannot believe they actually knew Gladius were ready for it. They dealt with Pate. He became paced. But Cognizant with Joseph find that double frag, and now they set up for something beautiful. Prophet even makes it out alive of that one. Well, not for long.
How's he there saying, Rook, you don't know what you're talking about, mate. I'm going to kill him anyway. But either way, 2 versus 2. 40 seconds left. A lot of time to work with. I'm not too sure what the ults are going to be like for either side, though. If one of these players put it down, I don't think any ults will be online. They've got to try and find Mike, though, over towards B main if they can. Breach going to be set up in and around towards market. That's Walty. Flatline does come out. No stuns this time around. Mike finds the kill, though, and it's all up to Walty. They know where he is. The map life is on the line. Can he find any kills? He can't. The triple from Mike. Map number 1 on Ascendant goes to Gladius.
And it's Mike who delivers yet again for this squad. Gladius must be so glad, honestly, that they picked that up, because Mike was on a tear in the last couple of rounds and kind of akin to what we saw in the second game we saw from them yesterday. Really excited to see more from this Raze player, because he is explosive.
Yeah, he's a player that could always pop off whenever he needs to, and 24 on 21, to say the least, is huge, and it was a really, really, really tight game, to be totally honest with you. It could have gone either way. I think the side of Cognizant will probably be a little bit upset that they threw that game away, to be totally honest with you. But we are going to try and get things turned over as quickly as possible here and head into Haven. We're going to take a short break here at EPIC36. Well, listen, I don't know about you, but I need a couple drinks of water after that insane series. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be back here for the official Beacon Circuit event at EPIC36 in VALORANT just after this break.
Alright, that game was fun. No, that's alright. I'm done waiting for it going quickly. So it's around. Yeah. Morning, boys. Good morning. You see one? No. I slept later. So I'm pretty happy. But
Oh, hello. Welcome back to the big event here at Epic. We apologise if you heard our awful singing. We do apologise about it. But we are back here finally for map number 2 in this series between the side of Gladius and Cognizant. Very, very tight map number 1 if you've just joined us. 16-14 on Ascent. And Cognizant actually, you could say, kind of threw a few rounds away and allowed the Gladius to pull their way back into this.
I think a few is an understatement, my friend. Cognizant really looked like they were going to pick that one up. Great strategy coming on into it, playing around the Neon aggressively, so much pressure on their opponents, but they could not make it happen. But now we're heading on over to Haven, where there's a lot of different ways to apply that pressure, regardless of who you're playing. There are so many different angles to deal with, and so many ways to deal with, well, basically anything. But we are sticking around on that fade from Mercedes Peak, but this time Chinch is joining on over on it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the double fade in the game pick says. So I mean, I've never seen Chinch on the actual fade before. I'm usually sort of
KO, pretty
see him
much.
on like the KO, right? I think he sometimes runs Sky every now and then as well. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Pate, of course, going to be on that duelist. Not the Neon this time, though, unfortunately. It's going to be the Raze. I think Raze suits the likes of a Haven a little bit better.
Absolutely. I think Raze is a much better choice here, and honestly, the fact that we're seeing the exact same comps on both sides is not a surprise at all. Both these teams very good at Haven, and I was chatting to Prophet a second ago, and Prophet was saying, hey, this map is really good for us. I think we're really confident here. Hopefully, they'll be able to strike down their opponents, but Gladius really started to get their number later on, understood a bit of what was making them a tick, and alongside some unfortunate mishaps, they were not able to close out that last game. And I said, though, that they were going to go down 2-0, so I was impressed with what they were able to deliver, but they're still going to have to go up just another notch if they're going to take Haven here.
Yeah, and one thing we spoke about coming into this once we saw the map selection and the map pool from the vetoes was, oh, we're going to get the Astras on Haven, and that's exactly what we're going to see. We said this is sort of a map where we probably only see Astra come out to play on, really, just because of how widespread the map is and how useful her util, like the Gravity Wells, for example. The Smokes also as well, very, very useful, as well as that stun too. So, no surprise there. A mirror matchup completely. Mercedes Peak even asking the question, say that you guys looked at our monitors before we even selected our agents. Who knows who is the original creator of this team comp? We'll have to wait and see. This is the bragging rights right here. This can be the one that decides it, right? Yeah. But either way, the 15-second countdown is upon us as we head into round number 1 here in map number 2 between the side of Cognizant and Gladius. If you've just joined us at home, welcome to EPIC36. My name is John P, joined by Rook on the mic once again for this. Hopefully it's as big of a banger as map number 1 was, a 16-14 close affair that was edged out by Gladius. They lead the series 1-0, but let's head into Haven.
Pate moves forward again with that frenzy, this time not on the Neon, but still someone who can get up close and personal. But it's that first point of contact, very confident in playing alone, but has not had a chance just yet as Mike rotates on over to potentially deal with this problem.
It's going to be a bit of aggression over towards A, by the looks of it, thus far, as no smokes go down just yet. Prophet, though, going to be losing that initial chamber battle to Samo, but Patty's there to instantly trade back. How many times have we seen him get work done with that frenzy? Walty advances forward, but he's going to be shut down instantly, but the trades come back through. And now last line of defense on this site is going to be Mike. They fall 3 versus 2. Spike should go down.
Great paint shells, honestly, from Pate to buy that extra space, and frags coming through from them too. A fantastic setup, but now got to deal with 2 pretty terrifying members in Samo and their Astra to back them up, to give them a little bit extra utility if they have it in hand, as Samo's going to move forward and get some of those heads, but is caught by Joseph, and it's just Halsey versus 3.
Yep, Halsey lost alive. They know where he is as well. He's over towards CT. Joseph finds the triple as well. That's going to nearly push himself, that Cosmic Divide, up to being online within just inside the first few rounds. So they're now going to put the Spectres in hands. It should be a straightforward conversion of the round for the side of Cognizant. And it's what we saw in map number 1, right? Cognizant, they started off very, very well. The side of Gladius, they took a little bit too long to adjust to the way that the style of play was being thrown their way. They can't afford to make the same mistake here, though, because Cognizant, they said they like Haven. They said they're very comfortable in Haven, and it's sort of like their home ground at the moment. Can they get over the line, though, against Gladius, or will they make the same mistakes to stumble at the final hurdle?
I think you're absolutely right, because Cognizant, they looked so comfortable for so darn long, but still weren't able to turn it into anything, and that brings kind of questions about your ability to close out these games, which can be easier said than done, right? I understand. I mean, when I'm playing games, I'm a choker too, and I really don't want to see that for Cognizant when they've got some really talented members on their squad. Prophet almost gets the head there, but 2 players tapping him down eventually finish him off.
Yeah, Samo, they're going to fly through the flank towards mid, but it doesn't matter because Halsey, last line of defense here, or should I say second to last, but Mercedes P can't get any more jobs done with that shorty. He does take Patty to the grave with him. And in the 3 versus 3 post plant here, the spike will go down, but they're not going to be realizing that Prophet already, player number 1 at the bottom left of your map, is flying his way up towards C Long. Potentially could catch someone out here with this headhunter. It's going to be Wolty, who is the first point of contact. Can he hear the steps? He finds the first. There we go. That's going to be the Spectre into his hands. A very important round that Cognizant tried to convert here. If they lose this, the bonus round will pretty much be flipped on its head and go in favor of the side of Gladius. Samo, he knows one's there. He finds the kill. All you got to do is peek and trade. Chinch with 7 bullets and more than a dream. Can he find the kill? He does. Samo tries to pull out the Spectre, second on the board for Cognizant.
Yeah, really well played there by Change to clutch that out, but way too close for comfort. That first frag for Gladius to take down Prophet meant that they had such a massive amount of control over the back part of the site, and Samo almost took it all the way to town, but not quite there just yet. They're going to be able to buy up all on those rifles, and again, it's Cognizant with a pistol win converted into the second round, into the anti-eco win, and that now they have to make sure that they can get some damage in here, or at least pick up the... Well, if they pick up the round, that's fantastic, but get some damage in so they can get some extra value out, because I think Cognizant, they need to go fast.
Fast and furious is usually the way they like to play, or they do the same here, but I love the double Astra Star setup. They're going to pop the smoke, followed by the gravity well. It's going to delay anyone trying to get their way in, and Mercedes P can spot one through the horn after it's initially destroyed, and Halsey there, lying in wait. It's a complete bloodbath here on C site, and although Chinch is good for one himself, Prophet finds one too. I don't think, though, the firepower is inside the weaponry of Cognizant at the moment. Chinch low, Prophet a sliver of HP as well. If the side of Cognizant, they can get the spike down and take another weapon with them. This isn't a bad bonus round for them.
They're going to be able to get that spike down now. They've got rifles in hand. But dealing with these players is going to be easier said than done. Look at those health totals. Cognizant not exactly in the best of positions, especially with all 3 members of Gladius. Very ready, very aware, very prepared to deal with this problem. But they actually trade 1 for 1.
Oh my. Chinch gonna find one. The Haunt's gonna reveal the location as well. Chinch edging his way around and clutching it. The 2 versus 4. Huge for the triple on Chinch. 17 HP, more than a dream, a nightmare situation he found himself in, but boy, oh boy, does he deliver. And it's a fairy tale start for the side of Cognizant. They win the bonus.
A long delay between the 2 games, but oh my lord, the Cognizant come out swinging. 5-0 and 3. Chinch is delivering here, not only in the frags, but in the assist department too, playing this fade to a T. Fantastically done, and great to see as well, because he didn't have the best performance in terms of frags on the previous map. Not a bad one, sure, but now seeing him step up, a player that I was highlighting before, I'm so glad to see it, because he is one hell of an enjoyable player to watch.
And now it's up to Gladius to try and get work done with the Sheriff's in hand. Headhunter for Samo. I'm going to find the first, though. That's going to be Prophet, who falls. Halsey forced his way out here with the aftershock. Can't take one with him, but this aggressive flank from Samo, though, every time seems to be playing off for them. And Spike going to be going down, though, completely uncontested, but because that trademark is offline, it allows Samo to work his way here. Finds the first. Can he swing and find any more, though, with the headhunter? He has found Chinch. Has found Wolty as well. That's the triple. Samo playing off an absolute nutty round here with the headhunter. And the anti-eco win comes through from Gladius.
My lord. Cognizant, they were in control. They had everything, and then someone went, okay, that's fine, but what if I just hit headshot after headshot after headshot? And now Gladius have managed to rectify the economic situation a little bit. I think Cognizant still have the hash in hand, but a thrifty win is a thrifty win for Gladius.
Oh, and then that all comes down to that first pick, Prophet falling, right? It opens up the door for the flank because the trademark's no longer there. It can't ping where they are on the map, and that's like back-to-back rounds. We've seen that flank come through from Samo, and this time, obviously, it's working to a delightful occasion. He has got the Tour de Force available to work with, which I think he'll probably invest into this round anyway. And for the side of Cognizant, they are going to be kicking themselves here, Rook, that they've lost that round.
Yeah, look at the econ as well. As even if they lose this round, Gladius still have enough to buy up here because it was a thrifty win. They are so sitting pretty right now. But hopefully, We don't see Profit go down here, so that flank can't come in the same way. And with the tour de force, it's not as likely to see that kind of play regardless.
Well, 4 rounds gone.
Let's play.
And it's safe to say these teams want to impress and entertain the viewers and the people watching at home. I mean, they've been locked in at horns on Ascent so far, and just when it looks like Cognizant are going to swing their way in their favour, Gladius come back with a huge anti-eco round of their own. And at the moment, it's
Teleport's ready.
setting ourselves up for a fantastic... It's only game number 1 of the day. It's only the first best of 3. We've got a lot of Valorant left to play today, and well, Sam, unfortunately, is going to have to sit out the rest of this round as well. He finds a headshot.
They use actually quite a few ultimates here. If Walty invest this, the Rolling Thunder to make sure they have control over that one. As Mike moves on into heaven, but cannot do a thing due to the Celestial Divide. But Pate gets way too big for their boots, and Mercedes Peak punishes as Mike drops down and tries to give him a surprise. Takes down 1, almost 2, with that fade coming in. This is a real problem for Cognizant.
Yeah, very, very tough spot that he finds himself in now, because you've got the counter ult from both fades that have revealed the locations for a few of the players. It's going to be Howdy, who's pinged by that trademark. And I mean, the good thing is, though, for Gladius, they've delayed that spike plant. They've got the gravity well as well. I don't even think they're going to have time on that star, even once the gravity well's finished, to try and get across and plant this spike. All Mercedes has got to do is find 1 kill. Joseph's down to 2 HP. Oh, Mercedes peak. Mercedes quite literally peek out and you'll get the kill. Has he not seen the head? Did he not see the head of the Astra?
Oh my lord, but he still gets it. Profit heads into the cubby here to try and keep alive. With that tour de force, he's now going to take down 2. Oh my god, can he get the next? No, he doesn't. But brutal for Cognizant. They invested like 3-4 ultimates in that round as well, and Gladius still take it.
Not sure if Tour de Force or Marshall, to be totally honest with you. The way that thing just no-scoped. I mean, he's so unfortunate that he wasn't, he was stunned still, because he would have probably been able to lock onto the second player 100%. As well with a quick scope. Second on the board, though, for Gladius, and that comes down to just pure patience as well from the Gladius side on the retake. They find the first kills that they need to. They do the damage in terms of tagging Joseph up. He was stuck out towards short as well in the close cubby, and you know, from there, all Mercedes had to do was just peek at the right time, and Mercedes does well and truly peek and names himself right and finds the kills. And although Profit nearly pulled off one of the most ridiculous things I've seen with a Tour de Force in a long time, he doesn't do just that. So we do head in to our 6th round at 3 rounds to 2. A lot of ults available, though, to start soon being built for Gladius.
Yeah, he doesn't really worry about the one. Samo's position not the best, but still deals with Pate there, showing us just how it works. And with Mike's backup, they shut down this push. Oh my lord, Mike takes 3, and Walty is the only one remaining, making it 4. Cognizant completely pipped there.
Yep, was the eco round, though, for the side of Cog, so not really too much to worry about in terms of losing the round out. We do see the timeout come through finally here from Cog, and bit early on, do you think it is, 3 rounds apiece to be taking a timeout, or is that because they won the first 3 but they've lost 3 in a row?
Well, I think that's obviously a contributing factor, but I do think it is a little early. I mean, this half could still absolutely go the way they want it to. I understand, right? It hurts. You threw everything into like 2 rounds and it still didn't stick. So I think Cognizant making a timeout makes sense from like an emotional point of view, but I think they could definitely weather the storm a little bit more. They're still on the attacking side. I think they have a lot to play with, but not doing as much as they really wanted to. They said they were strong at this map, and it's been iffy, especially in these rifle rounds.
Yeah, it's been, again, I use the sort of the term, they've been locked at horns since map number 1, and it kind of has been like that, no matter what. You know, Cognizant, they throw 3 rounds at Gladius, and they look fantastic, and then Gladius just answers straight back with 3 rounds of their own. It's a real flip-floppy affair, so I don't mind the timeout coming so early. I would have liked to have saved it for a little bit later on. We are at 3 rounds apiece, but I think what they realise is that Gladius have got a few ults to play with. They need to make sure they actually burn a few of those in the next few rounds before they have their own ult set up and their ult economy online ready to go. Yeah. For Cognizant, though, I mean, I want to see a bit more of that aggressive style of play that, again, that we saw in the first 3 rounds and from what was so successful on Ascent. Inside of Gladius, they're a team that, you know, they like to really play off and behind their util, but they don't mind getting aggressive and squeezing teams in, like we mentioned, when they need to. So, at the moment, I think Cognizant, they're just playing into the hands of Gladius at the moment.
Look at all those stars set up to really deny a push onto site. They know no one's here now, so it's all theirs. They're going to be able to get that setup going, spray a little bit through the smoke, get rid of the horn, and the Rolling Thunder comes in the nick of time, but those paint shells are really going to deny that push on in, and still they managed to deny it. Look at that damage. Look at those frags. The rocket lands short, but they lost so much here. Importantly, though, the spike hasn't gone down, and they're hightailing out of here.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because Gladius have had 3 players drop it. It was only the Raze who falls for the side of Cognizant, so they're going to boogie their way over towards that A site, cross the map free of charge, get the spike down, completely uncontested. And providing they do actually have someone watching this flank, because Housy's the difference maker here if he can find a couple. Mike finds the first. Why is Prophet getting so aggressive there out towards CT? It makes no sense. Housey can't find any kills. It's Walty who drops him all up to Mike. Should be a 4th on the board here for Cognizant.
Yeah, it's kind of tragic to see, right? Cognizant, they thrive on that aggression, but at times it is their own problem, right? They keep on getting too aggressive with Prophet, especially, who's on this chamber, right? You need to be setting up properly for that, but you can't just be pushing through smokes. That doesn't work. And you give opportunities like this to Mike. He could well and truly win this easily.
It's going to be a 2 versus 1. Can't find any more, though. Chinch finds the kill. 4th on the board for Cog. And, I mean, these guys have got a mirror matchup in terms of team comp, right? So it's kind of hard to throw any anomalies and sort of curveballs out there as to the way that you might run a strat, because odds on one of the teams that aren't, you know, the team that's on the attacking side will know what the defensive side will do upon retakes. The defenders will know how the attacking side will want to execute a site, because these are quite literally mirror matchups in team comps. What can either of these teams really do to try and change the tide and steer things in their favor?
I think, honestly, if you're Gladius, you're happy to just play slower, set up for your strategies, and wait for Cognizant to make some big mistakes. And off the back of that, you can also make some really good macro calls, because that's what they've been so good at. Whereas Cognizant, I think they just need to clean up their act and know their boundaries more than anything, because right now they're overstepping them, they're losing players, and from there, I mean, Gladius can just play a clean game, which is something they could do very, very well.
It's going to be, though, A site. Once again, they seem, the thing that Cognizant I've liking a lot is they're keeping the side of Gladius guessing ever so slightly. They've put a little bit of pressure towards C, a little pressure towards A, and they're just constantly keeping these players flying through the rotations on the defensive side of things. Not seen any mid-aggression yet, or towards the B site or garage, which is a bit of a shock to me. I thought,
yeah,
especially after that ascent, that seems sort of what they liked to do. But here comes the execute. Mike, first line of defense, and he's done just that as Chinch falls with the spike. Joseph's there to trade, though. Showstopper out. Isn't going to find any for its troubles, though.
No, not just yet. They're going to get that plant down. Use that Celestial Divide for a little bit more space. Sama really wants to set up for this, but what could you provide from up here if they set up for it properly? They've got Concussion ready. They've got a way to kind of play around this, waiting for that Celestial Divide to pop, especially with the suck in here. They could lead in something big, but there's a Celestial Divide back, and Prophet picks Samo.
Just like that. Numbers advantage in favor of Cognizant. 4 versus 3. Player jumps out of heaven. Patty's there to trade. Can't find any more. Mercedes Peak left alive. He falls. 5 on the board now for Cognizant. And is that going to be the little break in the economy that we needed to see here for the first time from one of these two teams? I think the side of Gladius might just have enough to scrape through a bye. They do going into this round. Big important round number 9 here, though.
Really impressed, honestly, by Gladius and their ability to kind of try and find those openings, but at the end of the day, Cognizant were just holding well. They won the operator battle, which is honestly, you know, kind of always those mini-games between teams and what they're able to deliver. And now as a result, because he went for the operator, Sama doesn't have a rifle, doesn't have a way to kind of impact this game in the way he wants to, and as a result, he's going to be in a bit of a shortcoming when it comes to locking down those longer angles. So they're going to get aggressive instead and potentially push up into that trademark and then give away a lot of info here.
Well, he's going to be spotted by that trademark. The only problem is, though, is none of the players have actually turned around to watch it. Prophet's going to walk straight in, and somehow, I don't know how he's not found the call out onto Mike. Mike? Hello? Question mark? Tries to find the knife, but Cognizant's going to find the second. It's going to be Prophet to double his luck and find the 2-piece. And all of a sudden, they're going to head their way over towards a site, and it's the mistakes that Gladius seem to be making at the moment. Mercedes Peak with the Sheriff. Can he get any work done? He does find one. That's going to be Prophet who falls, but not before Joseph's there to trade.
I'm trying to get a shot in there while they wait for Halsey to rotate over, but there's only so much they can really do here. The flash doesn't land, but it gives Pate the opening they also sorely needed. And Cognizant look like they're locking this one out. You know, they found that pace again. They are not getting caught by Gladius. They're making sure they don't overstep those boundaries we were talking about before. And Gladius not quite able to really exploit them in the way they wanted to.
How's he left alive? Probably just going to try and save this Phantom into the next, pick up a few exits if possible, and this is where I need to see now something from Gladius, if whether or not, you know, those 3 rounds a minute ago were just a little bit of complacency from the side of Cognizant. Cognizant need to lock into these next rounds now. They'll have the 3-round advantage reinstated and reassured. Can they continue to kick on from that, though, or are they going to allow Gladius on the eco round the next one to just pull off something crazy like Samo did last time?
You really can't just let them get away with that, right? Cognizant, they're a strong team. They know that they can win these duels, but it's just not working out for them half the time because they're not putting the utility in the right place. And, I mean, they're losing players who are key. I mean, the big thing about it was, right, Prophet kept on dying, and Samo was allowed to slip into the right spot, for example. That's why they lost that round there, and then Mercedes Beakers was able to kind of sneak on up in some other positions, and basically, Cognizant need to be making sure they do their due diligence. They need the solid fundamentals, which I know they have, right? You look through this list and you see some really great players. I mean, Prophet and Chinch have been on squads that have been exceedingly successful before, whereas like Joseph and Pate have shown us that they really can deliver. But on the day, you really need to be dotting your I's and crossing your T's.
I mean, mistakes, something we talk about a lot all the time in Valorant, that they cost you rounds, and how many costly errors have we seen teams make throughout the weekend thus far. And listen, we're already on Saturday morning. There's still a lot of Valorant left to play, to say the least, this afternoon. I think we got, what, 4 best of 3s left after this? After this one, I think?
At least.
At least 4 best of 3s. Might be able to get some more games on, depending on how quickly we get through the games. But for Cognizant, they have got the Rolling Thunder available for investment here, should they want to. In the hands of the Breach, the Tour de Force available as well for the Chamber. Surely they invest the Rolling Thunder into this round, right? They probably invest it across the board to try and get control of C. That's the first in towards Garage found. How's going to fall Chinch on the fade.
They're moving over here now. They're using a Rolling Thunder to actually clap their own player, but 2 ultimates being invested here to really make sure, but we see one coming right on back, and Pate has to be a little bit worried, especially when they're marked like that.
Yeah, Pate, location is going to be revealed, but the spike does go down. Com is going to find one, though, with the aftershock. Now they're set up for an afterplant outside of the B site. Pate finds one, instantly traded back. But there's Walty. Flatline comes through, will stun onto his doppelganger of the Breach. Prophet's in such a good spot, though, man, with this operator to just hold the line of sight. All he's got to do is wait for the jiggle. Should find a kill. Or, I mean, I said he should find a kill. Misses the first. Bonk comes out, doesn't miss the second time, though. Is all up to Mercedes Peak. Should clean this up relatively easy. Mercedes Peak, hello, question mark. Are you going to do the inevitable? And, oh my, he finds the kill, finds the triple, but not the round. That's the 7th.
Yeah, unfortunately, he didn't have enough time there. Was just really outplayed by Cognizant in terms of team play, in terms of they just needed to bide their time, pick away at Mercedes Peak, and hope that you try and stick that one, maybe to pick up the round while not losing too much. But yeah, Mercedes Peak, I mean, it shows again that they nearly won that round, right?
I mean, look, the rounds count is 7-3, but I think it's been a lot closer than that. We've seen, what, 2v1s, 2v2s, for example, 3v3s, 3v5s. It's not a scoreline that tells you the story of the actual game, and I think that probably said the same thing for map number 1, really, as well. It wasn't until the later stages of the game when we start to see Gladius come back, we were like, you know what, this game's actually been a little bit closer than we probably actually thought it was. Cog, though, you said that you spoke to Prophet in the break, and he said that, listen, our Haven's good, don't back us on Haven, and seems like he's been telling the truth thus far.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we've seen shades of this before. That's my worry, right?
Yeah.
You said about how close the previous game was. It certainly didn't look like that at the beginning. It looked like this, and it looked like Cognizant really had Gladius' number. But eventually, things started shifting with Gladius. This could still end at the same scoreline. If Gladius just win these last 2 rounds, it's 7-5 again, and the exact same thing happens. Cognizant need to make sure they are clean, and they do not give any leeway to Gladius. We've seen what happens, be it Mike, Mercedes Peak, or Samo. These players will pop off if you give them a juncture to play at.
Yeah, I think if you go in at 7-5, you win the pistol. Like I said, you've pretty much guaranteed yourself to go into the bonus round, or even Stevens at 7 rounds apiece. But I mean, Cognizant, though, they need to try and turn that nasty factor on about themselves and try and get this one over the line as quickly as possible. They're a team that I think that plays quite a lot of momentum and hype when things are going their way, and when it's not, they can struggle a little bit. But Speaking of going their way, let's see if this round does just that, but Mike's going to fly through the smoke. It's Chinch who falls. Trademark is spotted. Samo, the spray and pray, unfortunately can't find Profit. The tour de force coming in to save the day. 4 versus 4.
Yeah, they do manage to actually find that despite what looked like a pretty dire situation with all those ultimates coming their way. But Cognizant's still alive for now. Again, Gladius going to lock down these angles with the operator, but the smoke is going to come on in, make sure they don't find too much. And Mercedes Peak is going to try and get a bit of extra info from the Haunt there. Here comes the flash. Karma is going to set themselves up as well, but they're out in the open and could easily fall. That Haunt barely doesn't see them.
Mercedes Peak with the operator in hand up towards Heaven. That smoke's going to drop soon. They're still committing towards the A site here. Oh, the side of Cognizant. Mercedes can't find the first, though. The information there. Prowler comes out. Profit got to go huge here with the tour de force to try and shut down one, but Cam's there with the headshot. The Sheriff goes absolutely huge. 30 seconds left. The time is running down here for the side of Cognizant. The Rolling Thunder's available as well for Cam should he wants to deny the spike plant. This could be very much a round win in favor of the side of Gladius here. Surely you invest it. Do it. Cam, invest it. There we go. This should be the round win for the side of Cognizant. Oh, sorry, for the side of Gladius. The side of Cognizant have thrown this round away completely.
Oh, my lord. They had such a chance to pick this one up, but a pretty much thrifty win coming through here from Gladius. Cognizant, again, just losing control of the wheel when they're driving, and they just can't drive the point home. They cannot seem to find any massively meaningful advantages at the end of these halves. There's only going to be 2 rounds in it, honestly, at this rate, unless we see, again, Cognizant step up and deliver what we've seen from them, which they do tend to do, but they keep on letting slip these important rounds, these important junctures, and despite the fact that they've won like every pistol round so far, I don't even feel confident about the next one. Everything seems like a gamble.
I feel like Cognizant are currently stuck in like 3rd gear. Like, you know, they just when you think they're going to accelerate and get into 4th or 5th gear, they just get shut straight back down and stall at the final hurdle. And I mean, for Gladius though, they're going through the works at the moment. They're going through the motions. It's going to be Samo to find the first onto Pate. Big first pick for them. Tour de force available should he want it as well. Astra has got the Cosmic Divide though in the hands of Cognizant. How vital is this 12th round going to be in the final round of the half?
Sometimes it feels like they're summoned just fine, and other times it feels like they're thrashing and kicking, and maybe the emotions are kind of similar, but it doesn't come out with the same situation at all. And Cognizant, they look lost in a lot of these rounds. Losing players early is so brutal to see, and how are they going to enter onto the site now without their raise to make that space? Well, there's the Celestial Divide to give them that little bit of space, and from there, they can set something up, but we've seen one of these post-plant ends. Chinch has to deliver here.
Got to deliver. Putting a little bit of shoulder tag with Samo, and he does find the first. Numbers advantage now wipes off the round, and it's going to be a 4 versus 4. Cognizant got to try and hold strong here. Chinch going to pop the Prowler. Mercedes Peak can't find the kill, though, however, but the spike has gone down, and we're in a 4 versus 4 after plant.
Keeping track of him. Really wants to find a chance, but Mike uses that satchel charge to try and get up and forward, but doesn't get concussed, but still gets caught. Trades 1 for 1.
Chinch going to find his 3rd around, can't find the 4th as Cam's there to shut things down, but 30 HP, going to try and defuse. He's going to stick it inside of the smoke. The aftershock's going to delay it, the body blocking comes through. Cam, he stuck the spike, and the defusal comes through from Gladius, and we're heading in at the half at 7 rounds to 5.
Oh my lord, I cannot believe that Gladius picked that one up, and I assume that Cognizant went, okay, they tapped the spike to try and bait us out, and they didn't actually stick it, but no, in that smoke, he was waiting there, and Cam makes it happen. That is brutal, and again, another example of Cognizant just not being quite on the right page.
You can't let it happen, Rook.
You can't.
You quite literally can't let it happen. You're in a 4 versus 4. You've got 3 players set up towards long. Or 2 players long, sorry, one in garage, 1 on site. The perfect after plant setup. You've got the util still available for the Astra as well to deny the spike plant. Not only that, you've allowed 1 player in Chinch to find a 3K as well on the fade, right? Which is just ridiculous. You can't let it happen. And Cognizant, is it going to happen again? As Mike's going to find a 2 for 2 trade as the paint shells do splatter a few brains. And that should be a site control momentarily for the side of Gladius, as Mike is going to find multi.
Mike very, very happy with the frags he's getting right now as Cognizant start to move on in. But keep an eye on the flank. There is still a player. There is still Samo on that flank who could be ever so deadly. And it's 2 versus 2 retake on the site, however. They could just explode on into it. They take down Mike already. What more do they need to do? There's 1 player right below, and look at Samo.
Samo, the sneaky... role he loves to play, always on the flank as this Chamber finds the first. Did he hear the second drop? He has tagged Prophet up heavily as well. All he's got to do is buy his time, hold his nerve, hold the right click, and he does, and Gladius win the pistol. They're going to have the Spectres. We could be at a tied game.
Good indeed. Really well played there by Samo, finally picking up a pistol round for this squad. Gladius must be very, very happy with that one. They are going to be sitting pretty. And it hurts, man, if you're Cognizant. Yet again, and as you said before, they are an emotional team, right? I was sitting down with them. The talks, the chat, the emotion that comes off of these guys is absolutely fantastic. But when you're not winning, that emotion is not going to be so helpful. You're like, damn, things are going wrong. And look, they are positive, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they'll be encouraging each other, but it's not quite the same. When you have a hot streak, you have a hot streak. When you don't, you falter.
Gladius, just one round away from tying things up at 7 apiece, and Cognizant. It's like we're having a complete mirror matchup and rerun of map number 1 at the moment, to be totally honest with you. It's the same things have happened again. Pate falls, Halsey finds the first. So far, so good for Gladius. So far, even better for Gladius, as Mike's going to drop Walty. Should be the numbers advantage that the side of Gladius need. Prophet, though, with the Headhunter. Can he find one? He can't.
I think the difference here is that I'm much more confident about Gladius on the attack on this map than I am on Ascent. That makes things even more brutal. Joseph with the shorty here could likely find a kill, but oh, there it is. There's one. A little bit of extra damage, but nothing more than icing on the cake, as Gladius still take the round in pretty short order. Only one death. Yeah,
not a bad round to lose. You can have a very strong bonus round now as well, with 4 Spectres in your hands, and we're actually going to see a Vandal in the hands of Mercedes Peak, and in the hands of Mike as well, by the looks of it too. Side Gladius win this. I don't think Cog will have what it takes to try and bounce back the momentum in their favour. It just seems like, you know, all the tides are turning in the favour of Gladius at the moment. Cog, though, they've got to try and shut this bonus round down.
It's already sad to see as well. Cognizant, they're strong on this map, but if things don't go their way, they spiral out of control ever so quickly. Concuss goes in here. Mike can't quite have the pressure that he wanted to, but he can still get up close and bide his time, and that seems to be what Gladius are able to do so well. They clear out this garage in a split second. Decent amount of utility, at least 3 pieces invested here, so it's not all bad, but still not where they wanted to be.
Gladius have got a lot of control over the C site already. They've got garage control at the moment. It's forced Pate to jump back out. They need to try and advance, though. Samo all the way up towards C-Long, and they've got him in towards Cubby now as well. Just 3 of the players from Gladius are rotating over towards A. This is going to work great. Cognizant, sorry. This could work great for Gladius if Samo can just buy his time and be patient. They've not really adapted to the long, windy flanking positioning of Samo thus far. This game has the side of Cognizant.
They also used a smoke on the A site here to try and bait away, and they did manage to defuse some players across, but Joseph is still here and still ready to deliver.
Lying in wait inside the smoke, so is Chinch, though. He finds 2. Location revealed backside. Samo finds the kill. 3 versus 3. Pate, though, can deliver and put it out of 3 versus 2 on the retake. 2 players, though, they're going to be flying their way down towards C-Long. This is a tough spot Gladius will find himself in. Samo finds the first with the Headhunter. Can he find Pate? Oh my god! Samo is insane with the Headhunter! That's the triple, and somehow Gladius look good to try and convert the bonus round. All up to Walty. He knows Samo's going to be in this close corner. He doesn't find him. Samo goes huge. How many times has he gone huge for the side of Gladius with that Headhunter?
I'm so glad to see it as well. That map 1 was not a good look for him, let's be real, but he is delivering here, man. 16 frags in these 15 rounds. +1 KPR, has access to the ultimate, still has 4K in the bank, and has even more there. This is so good right now for Gladius. They are in control. Cognizant, they do not have the footing they really wanted to find, and they are back on a low eco buy here.
Yeah, just a couple sheriffs, that's all they're going to have to work with. Maybe a Headhunter. Chinch? For a second, I thought he was going to buy into the Vandal. Samo instantly revealed a bit of a double up over towards C-Long here. That's going to be Mercedes Peak and Joseph. Now Gladius, they convert this and they don't make any mistakes. They've set themselves up in a delightful spot to try and put, you know, going into the next buy round. Number 10 on the board. They've completely given up A site here. Cognizant, they've just left 1 player. That's going to be Prophet towards short.
Oh, It's that first frag, and now Mike getting a lot of control here already, pretty much on the A side. You can see those stars to come on in. The rocket fuse with it coming on in, and Volty tries to stand his ground and hit the shot, but it's just no dice, and Cognizant down more and more as time goes on.
This should be the 9th on the board. Should be a successful conversion as well on this eco round, although the Horn has spotted a bit of location. It does get destroyed in the end though.
Ooh. Almost hits a shot off on high, but it's the rest of the team who are closing it out here. Mike doesn't really need to hit the rest of these shots, and with a low health Pate, his last member remaining, it's Samo holding that one. No, he backs away. Might still manage to escape as Pate wants to hit that headshot, hits one, almost hits a second, but no more than that. And Gladius continues to take control, only losing one in that round.
For Cognizant though, it's just like, that's what I wanted. You need a bit of a break in momentum here, right? Call the timeout.
Yeah,
go back to the drawing board. Okay, this is a big round now. They're investing heavily in it. They're putting an operator in one of their players' hands as well. They have to win this round. If not, the economy is looking poor. That's then going to allow Gladius to have already been on 10, going into an anti-eco that could put them on 11 rounds, and then they're just 2 rounds away from taking home the first series of the day.
Yeah. Cognizant, I mean, they have access to the showstopper, but on Gladius, they still have that Rolling Thunder, and we've seen just how effective that Rolling Thunder could be. Basically won them around just earlier, and on the attacking side, it's much easier to use it. You can use it more aggressively, you can force out into a round and then play the post plant, which, honestly, with so many pieces of utility, Gladius would be fantastic on as well, right? You've still got those paint shells, you've got the ability to kind of play around with the Astra and the Fade. I mean, she's certainly no slouch at it either. Tagging up those players, making sure that you can keep good track of them so well, and I think Cognizant might really struggle. If the plant could just come down from Gladius, they can lock it out most likely.
Let's see what happens then. Tactical timeout off the back of that. Cognizant surely have got to try and work their way a game plan together to stop this. And I feel like what Gladius have done well is keep the side of Cognizant guessing, and they've been toying with them a little bit. Like, the flank from Samo every single time has caused them absolutely nightmares for the side of Cognizant. And even then, you got the likes of Pate who tries to get aggressive, and he just instantly gets shut back down as well. So even that aggressive style of defensive role isn't working. Big engagement here though between Prophet and Samo.
Big engagement, just 2 lads holding angles. A little bit of support as well from the Astra, who's just waiting there looking for a chance to maybe provide some support, but Samo starts to edge forward. Decides to back up now, but looks forward for it. Leaves himself out, and that's a big mistake. Cognizant find that first frag, and that is just the ticket.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the Rolling Thunder might get saved for the afterplant here. Mike flies through, flies in his way to find the first as well. They're going to try and storm over towards the A site here, and are they going to catch? They don't. Patty's not caught by the Rolling Thunder. The ult comes through, he finds one, but he does get traded out. That's not a bad trade for trade if you're Gladius, to be totally honest with you. They have to deal with Prophet, though. Is there one person lying in wait? Yes, there is. It's Halsey.
Yeah, that's easy pickings for Halsey, and now the round really starts to feel open for Gladius. Cognizant are really going to struggle to make this post plant happen. Haunt of their own. Mercedes Peak getting ready to set up as soon as that push comes on in. You can hear the stars landing, and just what they're planning to do, we're about to see.
Chinch and Joe, they're stuck here. They can't really afford to lose these weapons going into the next round, so they're going to try and save their way in. That's the 10th on the board for Gladius. It's just going to be the 2 rifles available for the side of Cognizant into what is going to be round number 17. And for the side of Gladius, they have looked outstanding on their attacking half thus far.
They really have. I've been so impressed. And again, the kind of difference here for me is this map, you can have a lot of success on the attack, where I think it's harder on Ascent. And once Cognizant have run out their own pace, I think Gladius are just sitting there, playing the Marathon Runners, playing their own style, own pace, and very happy to just keep going and going and going and going. And I think Cognizant are really just running themselves to an early grave.
Not a lot of ults to work with. Yeah, Joseph's close to the Cosmic Divide. Everyone's kind of close apart from Pate really on the side of Cognizant. Yeah. I think we're going to see the Tour de Force invested from Prophet as well. Only the Cosmic Divide for Halsey to invest in. Do you probably invest it this round? I wouldn't see why you wouldn't. I mean, try and get yourself on towards that site.
I mean, yeah, when you're setting up for a plant, for a plant, it's not bad to use it to just cut off those angles. And I think it's a map, but that's especially effective, right? There's so many different ways to cut off those different angles, and you could just easily get a plant without pretty much any contestation.
Well, contact is found towards Garage. It's Mike who's tagged up. and marked by the Haunt. And I mean, 3 players from the side of Cognizant have stacked themselves over towards that C site.
Right there.
I like the counter aggression though from Prophet up towards A long. It's given them a lot of information as to where these players from Gladius might be located. It's allowed those players to now stack over towards Garage and the middle of the map. Prophet though, gonna be spotted, can't find one, gets out with his life. However, you would like to have... Oh, they've called the rotation though. Chinch is lying in way. Chinch finds 1, finds 2. Joseph's there to find a couple of his own, and it's all up to Samo. A nice defensive hold here from Cognizant.
This is so good right now. Very, very happy with that. If you're Cognizant, you cut away. You deny the ultimate as well that Gladius really wanted to use to force into that site. But it just ain't happening. You can see all the pings coming out, and it's like, well, it doesn't matter what you're doing here. It's going to be so difficult to deal with. Gets 1 at the very least. In fact, 2. But Cognizant, they take the round regardless, and maybe that's enough for them to set their own pace. But, I mean, Gladius, they've looked so strong. 7 rounds in a row prior to that one.
And even with a round win for Cognizant, it's not going to damage the economy too much for the side of Gladius. I mean, they got to try and string a few more rounds together here before that break of the economy will come through, and they can try and put themselves back in a more favourable position. Only 2 rounds behind now, though, not the worst of situations, but you know, if you cast your mind back to what the first half, they was 8-3 up at one point, I think 7-3 up at one point, and then they bring it back to 7-5 Gladius, and we said if they can win the pistol, it would be vital. That's exactly what they've done, and since then, 7 on the bounce prior to that one, like you mentioned, has done nothing but buy in and eat into the confidence for the side of Cognizant. And we mentioned Gladius, they've only lost 1 map in this whole tournament thus far. And we can see why they're a tough team to beat. Even when they look down and out, they somehow bounce back, and Pate, though, gonna drop Samo early on.
Even with Pate going down here, I don't feel too worried, honestly. If you're Gladius, you still have so many different angles, so many different players who can apply that pressure, but the Prophet sitting right here, things could be a bit of a problem. Prowler does not spot him, though, and he just opts right back on into that, but they still know that he's back on over on that one. Looking for a chance.
Boombot does get the contact, though. That spike is making its way over towards the C site. How Gladius would have loved to have a Rolling Thunder now to just stick onto the C site. It would have been delightful, to say the least. Here comes the fade. Oh, Mike gonna reposition himself with those satchels. The Boombot gonna tag him up. Here comes the Cosmic Divide, though. This is great from Cognizant. It's gonna be so hard for the side of Gladius to break their way onto the site. 25 seconds left. They gotta go. They can't delay too much. They're waiting for Houses to try and work his way through Garage, but trades for trades come through. Cam's left alive on the side. Housey, he's got the timing. You gotta go quick. He finds 1, there's 2 back site, 15 seconds left. Cam can't find the angle, but Housey can. Can he get the spike down in time? He does, and he's going to get off the spike site without even being contested too.
Needs to make sure that he doesn't get caught from behind here. Halsey moves into a more comfortable position, ready and waiting for attacks from multiple angles. Does not know where this is coming from, doesn't know where Prophet is, but he's ready.
The timing, Prophet has the kill, lines it up with the Headhunter, finds it as well. 9th on the board for Cognizant. Gladius, though, nearly from the depths of despair, try and get himself back into that round. And I don't want to say it's poor positioning from that Astra there in the final final engagement, but it was a little bit predictable as to where you were probably going to be. He knew that you couldn't have crossed back towards long or gone into Garage, because that's where he was. You want to try and play the back of the site there and just ring around the rosy on those Radianite boxes right in the middle of the site. But either way, doesn't matter. We have got more rounds, of course, left in this game. 10 rounds to 9 here for the side of Gladius. And what was a 3-round lead a minute ago? It doesn't look too big anymore.
I was worried that we weren't going to get another game, but it looks like Cognizant might have that in them, but they trade 1 for 1 despite the concussion. More util getting invested here. They really want to head for this A site. Gladius maybe starting to second-guess themselves now, though.
4v4, though. They do find Prophet. But Wolty. Oh dear. A little bit of eager beaver. Prowler's gonna be found. Can't find any more. The aftershock placement was great though, but look at Samo. Oh, Joseph's gonna be caught here. Samo lying in wait. They're not gonna expect 2 players to be there either.
I'm too far.
Oh my lord. But importantly, they do not have the spike. That's the most important thing here, and they weren't ready for Chinch regardless. Cognizant are looking oh so comfortable here. They shut down another push, and it's even Stevens yet again. Do you think we're going for another overtime?
I think we are.
Yep.
And it has that affair about it, doesn't it? It really does.
do.
It looks that way for sure. And it wouldn't surprise me if Cognizant try and win this round or win this map and obviously force that third map. But Gladius, they are going to take a little bit of a timeout. They know Cognizant on the other side. They have got the Rolling Thunder in the hands of Cam and. Not in the hands of Cam, sorry. They've got it in the hands of the opposite breach, of course. For Gladius, though, it is going to be Samo with the Tour de Force available. Do you try and say to him, okay, you pop the Tour de Force on what could be an eco here and try and work some magic for us? We've seen him do it time and time again before, though.
I think it's a big question, right? How much do you feel like Samo can do on the attack here with the Tour de Force? I mean, look, he can pop off, but I think you hedge your bets, right? You make sure that the next round, you definitely have access to that. I need to look at exactly their economy to try and figure it out, but look, if they have right and buys and an operating next round regardless, I think maybe Gladius just use it. They just chuck it out, right? But at the same time, if you use it and then you don't, not having an operator might be the real killer.
10 rounds apiece. It's all square here in map number 2. If you just joined us here at EPIC36, official Beacon Circuit event here for Valorant, Gladius won a nail-biting and very close affair, 16-14 on Ascent. Cognizant, they looked good at the start of this one, 7 rounds to 3 up at one point, and Gladius clawed their way back to actually lead 10 rounds to 7. But since then, Cognizant have answered a 3 of their own. It's 10 apiece here as we head into a very important buy round here if you look at the economy build.
Economy's so key. Oh, they get that first frag. That's just what Pate wanted, and a lot quieter in this game than they were in the previous. But if they can keep making noise, I mean, Gladius might just run scared.
That was the shutdown on the player with the ult as well. Although Halsey is going to find the trade, Profit falls as well. So both chambers now offline for either side. A site aggression from Gladius is what it is. The Cosmic Divide comes through. Are they going to expect Mercedes, though, to have been here so quickly? The great combination of the Haunt baits him out of the corner. Cam's there to swing and find the kill. All up to Joseph.
That could have been such a good chance here. The Cosmic Divide denying Joseph from being as aggressive as he wants to here, but it's about to fall, and then they'll have a chance to move on forward. No one on the flank here. It's a full frontal assault from Cognizant with the Rolling Thunder, but I don't think it hits a single person. No one's actually on site, but just a little bit further back. The Rockets here, they want to land it on someone. Needs to try and get that shot in. Does take down one, but it's a trade out here as Mercedes Peak plays well.
Walty going to go instantly and trade it back 2 versus 2. All the economy in the kitchen sink even thrown at the door of the side of Gladius, but they hold strong, or at least they do for now. Walty 1 versus 1. Walty versus Halsey. Halsey, can he hold his nerve? He can, to find the triple. 11th on the board for Gladius, and finally a break in the round count.
Oh my lord, I'm so glad to see that, but Halsey actually loses the rifle there, where they really could have saved that. He stood still for way too long. And, I mean, that does actually affect this composition, right? They do not have the money to really... Look, he can buy up himself, but maybe he could have bought for someone else. Maybe he could have dropped on over. Samo is going to be able to just about keep it in, but the armor's not there.
Well, no, it's not only that. Samo actually will buy Mercedes Peak, so he has full armor, and then we'll probably see the Tour de Force investment come out from Samo with the Headhunter, right? That was what would make more sense. It looks like the ult available to invest almost instantaneously from Breach as well. Also, no, that was the flat line. They have got the Breach ult available. Tour de Force does come in. Oh, the aggression towards mid here. I love it.
Looking for a chance here. The slow comes on in. He does give information over the Rolling Thunder. Finally there. Prophet manages to surf around the corner so it doesn't get caught, but can't say the same for Walty, who's already on the floor.
Yep, Samo going huge with the Tour de Force himself. Is going to find the first avenues for success, potentially a few doors opened up here for Gladius to try and put the 12th on the board, but instantly Samo shut down with Pate, but Halsey's there to find the refrag. Speaking of chambers, it's Prophet who actually falls. And all of a sudden, numbers once again in the post-plant situation in favour of Gladius. Numbers very much in favour of Gladius as Mike holds his nerve to find the first snaps to the second head as well. It's all up to Joseph, although he's good for one with the Bulldog. Halsey, close your window, my friend. There's a few whiffs come through, but Joseph's there. He's going to fall eventually, though, as Halsey finds the kill inevitably. And we head on to match and series point here for Gladius.
He solidifies things down and does manage to find that frag. Cognizant now really on the back foot. They wanted this so badly. They can still make it. They've got a buy. It's not the best, but it is functional. They've still got access to an ultimate in the Cosmic Divide. They're close to Fade having hers as well. So they've got stuff to work with, but it's going to be easier said than done. With Gladius still got a decent amount of, a decent number of weapons, still got those ultimates available. Cognizant are going to have to get that first pick and run the momentum from there. Here comes the showstopper, and Mike really wants to find something.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, it is going to be delayed ever so slightly, but guess what's not going to be delayed? That's going to be Samo's 2K towards the middle of the map. Royalty and Pate both for the C site completely wide open and lying in wait to be taken from the side of Gladius. The only thing they've got available for the side of Cognizant is the Cosmic Divide upon the retake, but surely that's not even going to be enough to try and stop the Gladius team from painting their way into the next stage of the upper bracket. But Prophet, he's got other ideas. The Bulldog coming back to bite true hard as he's going to find the first to put things in a 4 versus 3.
Yeah, he's going to upgrade to that Vandal. And he's one of the key players here, the only one attacking from a slightly different angle. But look at all of that utility being chucked towards him. As the rest of the team's getting ready to push, but they haven't yet. He's alone this far up. He needs to be quick.
Can't find any houses there. He holds his nerve. The Cosmic Divide available as well. Joseph falls. Mercedes and Cam shut up shop. 30 rounds to 10 here. Gladius take the series 2-0.
Cognizant, they are a high-paced team, but unfortunately this time Gladius with a quick, and they are the dead. 2-0. What a performance. It was so close so many times, but they could not keep up the momentum, could they?
No, unfortunately, they could not keep up the momentum at all. I mean, it's safe to say, Rook, Cognizant will be kicking themselves with the way that some of these rounds went. You know, 7-3 up at one point, 10-10 at one point. They just can't get over that final hurdle.
They couldn't, unfortunately for them. I mean, look, they looked fantastic on the first map and in the first half of the second as well, but not being able to drag yourself offline, it's just the win that matters. It doesn't matter what score you're getting. You're going down to that loser's bracket, buddy, and they're going to have to make a big, long run, and there's a lot of scary teams down there that you've got to be worried about as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the moment, you know, next round through, if Ricks win their game, they're either going to face CSG or Temperate. So you're going to potentially have one of the top 2 seeds could drop into the losers bracket early on. So it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. Ricks did win their game 2-0. They're through. Jokers have picked up a 2-0 win over Echo as well. So they go through to the next stage of the competition into the upper semis as well. Waiting on the other results. We'll try and get those for you once we come back from this short break. Do not go anywhere. We'll have all series number 1 breakdown, as well as looking forward to our series number 2 coming up shortly here at EPIC36 for the official Beacon event here for VALORANT. Don't go anywhere.